Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 117, Black Tech Talk. I'm here with my co-facilitator, Lionel.
Oh, I was on mute. Hello, everyone. How you doing today? How you doing today, Mike?
I'm good, brother. Yourself?
I am well.
All right. Let's get started with the hangout. For those of you who want to follow along, the docket is in the description beneath the video. And let me share my screen. Yeah, so tonight we'll focus on microtransportation, the fourth industrial revolution. So first article comes from BostonHerald.com. Massachusetts prepping for a brave new transportation world. Ready or not, Massachusetts is speeding headlong into a brave new transportation world. It may not include flying cars, but state leaders are looking to help pave the way for self-driving cars, an all-electric car future, a transportation grid resilient to climate change, and a planned reinvention of the commuter rail system serving metropolitan area. The commuter rail is like our version of Amtrak. Among the recommendations laid out in a hefty two-volume report released this month by a state commission of the future of transportation in Massachusetts is for the state to set a goal that all new cars, light-duty trucks, and buses sold in Massachusetts will be electric by 2040. It's part of a wider blueprint to create what the commission called a 21st century mobility infrastructure that will help the state and the cities and towns both manage and make the most of emerging changes in transportation technology and behavior. Republican Governor Charlie Baker signed the executive order creating the commission, charging it with providing his administration an analysis of the different transportation challenges facing the state in the coming decades. Quote, we knew this wouldn't be an easy task, Baker said. The next the next 20 years in transportation are going to look very different from the last 20 years. The areas Baker asked the commission to study include the impact of climate change, the electrification of transportation, and the rise of autonomous self-driving cars and ride-hailing companies like Uber and Lyft. One of the commission's recommendations is that the state work toward building ubiquitous electric charging infrastructure for electric cars. Some of the changes, like the advent of ride-hailing industry, are already transforming how people move around, particularly in cities, while other technology like self-driving cars is still just around the corner. While many of the tasks ahead are focused on urban areas, the report also cites the need to provide better transportation options in rural communities. Steve Kadish, the head of the commission, said the panel's main task was to look ahead, not to get bogged down in short-term budget proposals or specific projects. Quote, the commission's report is a look at 2040, Kadish said. It's a presentation of plausible scenarios. It's not about predicting the future. The report drew applause from some environmental groups. Yeah, I'll keep reading. Actually, I'll stop right there because it doesn't really talk too much about anything else. What do you think about this article, I know?
Uh, excuse me. Got something coming. I remember you always talked about how Boston would not allow gas powered vehicles or even vehicles to drive on the streets in the future, um, and other remarks you said about Boston and autonomous vehicles. This article is backing a lot of what you're saying. They said also in the article where um, they were by 2040 they want even light duty trucks, cars, buses that's purchased to be all electric in Boston. How they're gonna, I think was the MBTA. It said
Yeah, the
they're,
MBTA.
they're going to redo all of that, the train system, the bus system. So they really want this to be full. They really want Boston to be full fledged autonomous in by 2040. And last sentence of the article said that it can boost their economic growth by doing this. Once it's all said and done.
Mr. Christian, welcome to the Hangout.
How you doing, Christian?
Cream, welcome.
How you doing, Cream?
How you guys doing today?
Good. Did you have an opportunity to read the article, or do you guys have anything you want to add to this?
You got anything, Preem?
Oh yeah. You guys hear me okay? I'm trying to switch over to something that where I may not sound far away. Testing, 1, 2.
If you can get closer to your microphone.
I'm sorry. Okay, let me go ahead and go back to this. Hello?
Yeah, why don't you get yourself together, and then we'll let Christian go.
Okay, got it.
Charlie Rose brings up a good point in the chat. We have enough renewable energy to support all the new electric cars, buses, and trains.
Not necessarily.
Not yet.
Not necessarily. When we talk about infrastructure, we're more or less talking about readily available on the street. When you pull up, there's a charging station. There's overhead wireless charging. Um, that's infrastructure. Whether or not you have coal burning or what kind of other fossil energies that you are, or fossil fuels that you would be using in other areas, that it's kind of irrelevant in the urban center. You need immediate micro and medium infrastructure to actually have a full autonomous, a fully smart city is basically what they're trying to build here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. They are going to. The article we read, I think it was last week, how the electric charging everywhere, and they could charge your vehicle in 15 minutes. Not saying they're going to use those specific ones, but like you said, in the article said that they're going to build the infrastructure out where it's going to be a smart city, and it'll be more charging stations proliferated throughout the city. Then maybe gas stations. Gas stations will start to go out of business because there'll be more electric vehicle cars. No, not a lot of gas powered cars, so they'll go out of business. And then that real estate itself that's built upon, what they'll do with that. So yeah, it's a thought. It's a thought.
Mm-hmm. Primo, you ready?
Yes. Yeah, man. On this, the electric, this electric autonomous vehicle thing. The only way that this is gonna work is if it goes through like a local government, state government, like they're opposing it here. There's no way that this happens if they like just go straight to market, or take the free market route, like let's say Tesla does. Not to say that they won't gain, they won't gain any type of adoption, that there wwon't be people buying, autonomous vehicles. But if you're going to build out the infrastructure, you're going to need so much bread for that you're going to require taxes, and those places to where the people are going to be okay with it, like more like your Boston's, maybe your New York's, you know, regardless, I'm not saying where people think it might be needed, but where they can actually get away with this, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be few and far between. But it has to go through the government because it can't just go directly to market and see if the market wants it, because it fails on two fronts. This autonomous vehicle thing. One, it doesn't unlock any value. There's no value um, in it if you're gonna bring it directly to market that the market will go ahead and care about. And two, it doesn't eliminate any type of pain, you know, for that will cause people to be like, okay, we need to really look at this because it's going to eliminate or alleviate some type of pain, a problem, a nuisance, traffic jams, things of that nature. But if you're going to have folks doing complete 360 on this thing, I mean, there's going to have to be like a big pain that eliminates for the market to kind of be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and take this on. So the only way they can do this is through mandates. It's just through, you know, local governments, and it's just being required. This is just the way how we're going to be 10, 15 years from now. If you don't like it, move, leave. And those who don't like it, who won't like what's going to come along with building this stuff out, they're going to leave those places. Those people who think this is cool, yeah, this works for us, they're going to move into those places or stay in those places.
The article said that the local officials or like government, local government is okaying this. Even statewide government is okaying this. They said in an article, you know, this can boost not only Boston, Massachusetts economic growth, and how they really don't want to drag their feet. They really don't want to drag their feet on this issue. They are pushing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I read that in there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it was something else I was going to say. I forgot.
Well, I just want to jump in here for real quick. They need to do this in order to improve infrastructure. So you're not going to. I think we discussed this last week about Africa, right? These roads or these in these developing countries that are unpaved. Once they become paved, they have to be a part of the infrastructure. If you build your infrastructure without taking any of this into mind, then what happens is you are 2 steps behind what's coming down the pike, and you have to redevelop your whole entire infrastructure to reflect the new technologies.
Yeah, you know, again, maybe I just, you know, throughout the next weeks or whatever, I'll read more. I can't connect the dots on that, how autonomous vehicles are going to improve infrastructure. I mean, it's a means of transport. You know, it's the way that I'm seeing it now. So maybe I'm not getting the bigger, wider picture how that is going to improve infrastructure, maybe improve people moving throughout within the infrastructure, but how it's, you know, again, where is the pain that is currently solved? What am I experiencing today? Or what? I don't live in the inner city, but I mean, I drive through like Atlanta, whatever. So what pain should I look out for, or big problem I should look out for next time I drive in Atlanta? That's part of the cars that are on those roads in those high traffic areas that autonomous vehicles are going to eliminate.
What is your idea of infrastructure?
Roads, lights, you know, sewers, pavement, sidewalks, buildings. Yeah.
Right. So in order,
the framework.
Right, and that's a very rudimentary framework. But what I'm saying is, if you're trying to develop these smart cities and you're trying to compete with China, because China right now is #1 in this, they're already 10 years ahead of where the United States is right now. So if that's the case, and you're trying to compete, and you're trying to be a superpower of a world power, you need to keep pace with the technologies. And the problem is how you're framing it is that you don't see the necessity behind it. But in order for these new cars to come online, then you're gonna have to improve all these pieces of infrastructure, including the bridges, like which was mentioned in the article. If you don't have sturdy bridges, I think in the United States, I think there's 8,000 bridges that are condemned. You shouldn't even be driving on them for some odd reason. You're still driving on them. Those places have to be taken into consideration for as a part of the infrastructure that needs to be developed. Now you're talking about putting fiber optic cable into the ground, but how are you going to put that in there if you haven't improved the rest of the environment around it?
This sounds to me like a major uh, uh, industrial project countrywide, which means a lot of jobs can be created by that populated and by men, because this is construction, pure construction, that's going to be going on for the
Okay,
next at least 20 years.
and I know you guys want to move it on. So if just doing the whole apples to apples thing, if I'm on a road in one of these cities in China, that has this fiber optic cable in there in the route or whatever, what's happening significantly different there that you wouldn't get in another city that doesn't have that? Let's say if both cities have brand new bridges. One city has a new bridge that has the fiber optic cables and it has autonomous vehicles right on top of it with people in the backseat on their cell phones not driving. Another city has a brand new bridge that's perfectly safe. People are driving on it. What is the big difference what is the big difference between from the one to the other? That's actually a benefit. That's not just a cool thing, but it's actually a benefit.
If you have a bus that holds 100 people on there, how many vehicles did you just take off the road?
Okay, so but the bus could either be autonomous or it could be gas powered or electric powered.
It's already electric powered.
Yeah, autonomous is electric. True that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So now, so what I'm saying is, if you have a bus that holds 100 people and it's clean and efficient, how many cars did you just take off the road?
Yeah, and again, and that's why if they and that's really slick. They're going to have to put that. We're doing this for the environmental thing and reason. And that's why we go ahead and have to do this, because that way they can mandate it. You know what I'm saying? Be like, listen, you don't have a choice. What we can make it the autonomous Accord or whatever they want to do. Yeah, pun intended, because of the Honda Accord. But they can do something like that and be like, listen, you don't have a choice. We're not doing this for us. We're doing this for 40, 50 generations. It's a health issue. It's a crisis issue. It's an earth issue. Pay up, pony up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if but they have to mandate it. They have to run it through the states and the governments, because there is no benefit if they just go straight to market, that they can convince the market that, yeah, we all need to be in autonomous vehicles, because there's no value in it currently.
From a CO2, from the emissions perspective, yeah, there is some value to it, because the next fleet of vehicles coming out will eventually have to pass these CO2 emissions that they can't. A EV vehicle already does that. They don't even go through a smog test, right? They go through a software test, but not a smog test.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they, as they tweak those numbers and be like, listen, all the cars are gonna have to, they can only put out X, Y, and Z. Manufacturers can be like, Jesus Christ, there's no way we can build something that runs on petrol that's going to do that. And they're gonna be like, exactly. So yeah, again, it has to be a mandate. It has to come through the state. It has to. It has to. And that's the route that they're taking, because again, it doesn't. There's no free market benefit of it that I can see yet.
Christian, do you have anything you want to add?
No, not right now.
All right, we'll move on to the next article. I dropped a link in the chat so that you guys could see that vehicle that was in the picture initially on the article we just read actually is a part of a company. It's a autonomous driving company, similar to Waymo, but I think it's supposed to be better. Go to the next article. How do you get rid of this thing? All right, this one is from seekingalpha.com. An update on the autonomous vehicle and ride-sharing trend. All right, let me just read the summary real quick. Fully self-driving cars are here. Alphabet Group Alphabet Google leads the pack in autonomous driving. In November, Waymo finally takes the driver out of its self-driving cars, running its autonomous minivans around Phoenix, looking for a community to discuss ideas with. All right, what's the article starting at? Actually, you know what? It doesn't really go too much into detail, um, but I'll cover some of these areas. So this is Toyota's e-Palette self-driving ride-sharing EV. Here's the concepts. And these are the leaders in autonomous vehicle testing. Google's at Google is number one. BMW comes next. Nissan, Ford. Are you kidding me? Nissan, Ford, General Motors, Delphi Automotive Systems, Tesla, Mercedes-Benz, and Bosch. Although Bosch doesn't even build cars, they actually design parts for vehicles. And looking at this chart here, it shows that okay, below is the 2017 update showing Alphabet, Google, Waymo, and GM as clear leaders with extremely low numbers of disengagements per 1,000 miles driven. Or put another way, Waymo leads with 5,595 miles driven and engagement incurred. So if we look at this chart here, we'll see that players that weren't there in 2015 are now there in 2017. Is there something you want to say, Lionel?
Yeah. This article is more technical. So what I
Yes.
do see is more and more people that are not people, more and more businesses that are starting to pop up around this autonomous vehicle race, if you will, in the United States. Race to build out the autonomous vehicles to get a bigger slice of the pie in terms of being seen as the work in the autonomous vehicle space in America, and therefore getting more investments done. So I'm seeing a lot more businesses pop up in that way, and also to connect with previous articles that we read how Ford has purchased companies that specifically do work on autonomous driving. Um, these major automobile manufacturers are getting to the space in a major way. So what you're starting to see in our point of view and what we go through and what we look at is ramping up, a slow ramping up, but it's ramping up nonetheless of these major car manufacturers and other businesses getting to the same space and vying for the pie and vying for actually moving forward this autonomous car vehicle uh, industry.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How you doing, Complex
Hey, what's
Design?
going on?
Not much, man. I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm on the West Coast, man, so I'm always behind the
No,
ball
that's
just a
fine.
little.
That's fine. You got the last piece on the docket anyway. So
Awesome. All right, cool deal.
let's go to the next article. All right, this one's from Wired.com. Don't ask when self-driving cars will arrive. Ask where. In 2018, sharp observers of self-driving vehicles may have noticed that few of the things have arrived. While most are still testing, only allow employees inside, including Uber, Ford, Argo, Aurora, and Cruise. Cruise is GM's autonomous vehicle line. This year also saw the 25,000th passenger trip provided by collaboration between Aptiv and Lyft, which uses a handful of autonomous vehicles to ferry rides around Las Vegas. Also this year, autonomous shuttle companies Made Mobility, Optimus Ride, and beckoned members of the public aboard in Columbus, Ohio, the suburbs of Boston and Vegas. Just this month, are you kidding me? Just this month, Waymo launched a driverless service in the Phoenix area, if a limited one. The body of evidence should help you understand the nuanced answer to increasingly common question. We get asked, when are we going to see these cars? My answer is essentially, it depends where you live. Says Carl Lenegma, Aptiv's president of automotive mobility. If you're in Vegas today, you'll see them all over the place. Other cities, it's going to take a long, long time. That's
Mike,
the not so whispered secret of something.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, what was the question that was asked? The critical question that was asked in that last paragraph? He said, when will we see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When are we going to see these cars?
We'll touch on that after we we'll finish this article here.
No, I think we're done.
Okay.
My summary on this is basically that when I think it has more to do with red tape than anything else. It's more of a bureaucratic issue, not so much of a technological issue.
I see.
If you look at China,
mm-hmm.
if you look at China has a full self-driving city. I think it's outside of Beijing. I think it's like Qingdao or something like that.
Yeah.
Whole city has self-driving cars. So when we talk about a city, we're not talking about like, you know, a small town like 200 people or something like that. We're talking like a full 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Now, pardon me if you guys.
We know. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, pardon me if you just kind of hear me. I'm still trying to get over this cold, man. If you hear me sniffling and stuff. But no, go ahead, finish your thought here, and then I'll go ahead and chime in.
No, that's all I had to say.
Oh, okay. So, you know, I see it as kind of like a multivariant sort of thing that's going on here, right? So one is the red tape, you know, because there has to be a lot of study done into how these things are going to affect like local economies, right? So, you know, we in a kind of offshoot sort of scenario that we can kind of apply to this. Let's look at how Bird kind of just rolled out their scooter platform, right? They really didn't ask questions. They just dumped it onto the streets and then let the problems arise, and then let sort of like the public and the lawmakers and the big money shakers kind of all sort of sort it out all at the same time. And it kind of causes a chaotic scenario, right? So other municipalities look at this sort of rollout of the technology and they're like, well, you know, we don't really know. We can't just do that though, right? So it's a very, very, very slow rollout. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to post a link in the chat. Okay. And that link is to this. I think the guy is like maybe 19 or 20, or he was maybe 19 or 20, 21 at the time that he did this. But basically, if you have a car that has assisted steering, you know, where it has cameras and it'll, you know, kind of help do lane changing and stuff like that, you can essentially tap into the cars. That car essentially has self-driving capabilities, right? Rudimentary ones, but self-driving capabilities nonetheless. And using, what's that?
No, I said it was level 3.
Level 3, right. So utilizing the car's level 3 capabilities, utilizing Open Pilot, which is an open piloting software, right? So you use Open Pilot, but then you're going to also pair it to a OnePlus phone and a Comma Neo, basically like a Raspberry Pi type of board, right? So you're going to rig up a self-driving rig, and Open Pilot's going to be the software that does it. And this dude does a whole video series on how he essentially created this rig, and just through testing and tuning of the software, because it's self-learning, right? The car, he basically turned his car into a self-driving car. Now, so looking at it on a kind of hackware developer level, you can start to see how you now have an ease of access into creating your own sort of self-driving startups using very rudimentary tools, open source software, a +1 cell phone, or is it OnePlus? With OnePlus, right?
Yes.
OnePlus. Okay, OnePlus cell phone, a Comma Neo, Raspberry Pi type of Arduino board, and if you have a car that's like 2015 or newer, you turn it into a self-driving car. Now from there, again, it requires using the imagination to sort of engage the technology, but this is how you close the gaps, right, between the red tape and corporate, big tech, corporate interest in it, versus your guys on the ground, hackware developers, startup guys, right? It's an ever evolving sort of ecosystem. We've seen this with the .com era, starting in .com 1.0, 2.0. Then we get into the social media explosion, and legislation is always ever changing with regards to the nature of social media, for example, right? It's not that just one set of rules and then that's just been what it is. There's always stuff that's ongoing, right? Where there's new bills being passed and, legislation being proposed because, for a number of reasons. The whole, what I'm trying to get at here is that, this stuff is going to evolve and become what it becomes at some point in time. Now, you can have your hackware type guys throw their hat in the mix, bring down the cost of development, bring down the cost barriers of entry, because that's essentially what this kid did. He basically just showed you how easy it is to make a car drive itself. So the more people you have then start to engage and start to come up with business ideas and, small startups. We talked about this with rocketry. The rocketry startups. You guys, these dudes, they have rocket startups in their apartments. So the same thought can be applied to this industry as well. That's my 2 cents on it.
I just want to get to the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Charlie Ross asks, how will self-driving affect the trucking game that everyone keeps talking about? My take on that is, I don't think you're going to see full self-driving trucks as of yet. I do think you'll see level 3 technologies that will keep the driver awake so that the driver doesn't get fatigued and things like that. I think you'll see more of that over the next 5 years, but as a full autonomous truck, just basically in the United States, I'm referring to.
Yeah.
A full autonomous truck just driving up and down the road. I don't see that happening as of yet. We still haven't. We talked about this last article, or the initial first article. You don't have the infrastructure to keep up with a full self-driving semi-tractor trailer truck.
Well,
not in the wrong right now.
Yeah. The plan, how they're planning to do it, right? How they're planning to do it is like, okay, there's stretches of road in the United States where you could theoretically do it, right? There's like stretches of road where there's not a lot of variance in grade. The road is relatively flat, and so during certain times of the year, the conditions are right to just put a self-driving truck on a road and just let it go. Okay, it's not traversing mountains, turns, and stuff like that. It's largely just going in a straight line. So so this is kind of from some of like the conferences that in webinars and stuff that I've kind of chimed in, attended, where they've discussed like different types of scenarios on how you begin to roll this stuff out, right? And so you have to start in small chunks of road, right? That actually extend for a good amount of like, it's like cutting through like Oklahoma, for example, right? It's pretty flat, and there's stretches of a few hundred miles where you could just load up, you could daisy chain a bunch of Tesla semis. You have an actual a person who's behind the wheel in the front truck. Then they daisy chain like maybe 3 or 4 more behind it. Those don't have anyone in them, or like the one in the back, there's someone in that one. So the 2 or 3 in the middle, there's no one in them, right? And you just daisy chain them for about 500-600 miles or something
And
like
then,
that.
and then what you do is you put Jean-Claude Van Damme on the top of the trucks, like in that one video.
I mean, you could do if we were making a movie.
That was Volvo. That wasn't Tesla.
No, you have him do a split like he did in that one video.
But I mean,
do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, the article. I understood the article. They were saying, in terms of the environmental aspect, right now, the autonomous vehicles are in areas where you have where the environment to it being able to learn and drop off and pick up people without any environmental challenges such as snow, hail, rain, cold, adverse weather conditions. And also, not only that, that's why you see it in California. Not only that, but California is where a lot of the engineers live, that's what I was saying, but also in Arizona, because of the weather is pretty steady. You know what you're going to get from the standard too much or too far off. And also, it said there are areas in Pittsburgh and in one area in Massachusetts. I want to say North Point. Is that a suburb? North Point.
I don't think North Point is a is the area of Massachusetts, but I know North Shore is an area of Massachusetts.
Yeah, North Shore. It was saying that they're going to the autonomous vehicles in Pacific areas to test them out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Christian, you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, Oklahoma and Kansas is pretty flat. They would probably be a prime area for autonomous truck driving testing. I'm going to agree with Ulysses on that.
I would even throw Iowa in there also.
I haven't been up there yet, but yeah,
it's pretty flat there as well. I mean, you just want to do it where during the times where the weather's not inclement.
What about North Dakota, where the Boulay is?
Nah, you can't have people.
Oh man, wow!
And work and trying to program these autonomous vehicles, or even trying to get in and drive them.
Say that again, I know.
Hey, Preem, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Nah, I'll just be sounding like a broken record. I'm cool.
Okay. All right. All right, let's get to the next article. Fly right through these.
Yeah.
All right,
King
this
David.
one's from Mark.
Oh no, I was just reading a quick comment here. King David says, "I'm a truck driver. They say Kansas is the flattest state in the country."
And it is.
All right, this next article is from motleyfool.com, 3 driverless car stocks to watch in January. Many driverless car stocks have been especially hard hit by the recent stock market volatility. The outlook for this promising niche remains bright, though, with some industry players expecting it to grow to around $20 billion in 2020, on its way to $70 billion in 2030. With that potential in mind, we reached out to a few Motley Fool contributors to find out which driverless car investments were worth watching as we enter the new year. Read on to find out why Intel, NVIDIA, and BlackBerry topped the list. I think that's Christian's favorite company, BlackBerry.
NVIDIA,
Intel is the biggest. Intel is the biggest maker of PC and data center CPUs in the world. Those two businesses still generate the lion's share of its revenue, but the chip maker has also aggressively expanded into automotive market with its acquisitions of Mobileye, Movidius, and other developers of computer vision chips. Mobileye is the world's leading maker of advanced driver assistance systems. The company uses a combination of older camera and radar technologies to help cars stay in a single lane or spot obstacles while parking. Mobileye also produces the IQ chips, a series of advanced computer vision chips that power fully autonomous cars. I want to get to here's BlackBerry. Okay, so BlackBerry is the next one. BlackBerry's failure in smartphones and its accompanying 90% stock sell-off has been well documented, but investors need to understand this is no longer the same company. CEO John Chen has increasingly tied BlackBerry to cybersecurity and autonomous cars. Automotive aspirations are a key facet of Chen's grand vision. Under Chen, the company has partnered with car companies like Ford and Land Rover's Jaguar, and technology companies like Baidu and NVIDIA to design a secure autonomous car using the company's QNX operating system. Chen's vision in autonomous vehicles is starting to pay off. In the recently released third quarter fiscal, BlackBerry reported 23% revenue growth in its BlackBerry Technology Solutions Group, mostly on account of its autonomous automotive applications. While it is important to acknowledge that not all of the growth is due to self-driving systems, QNX already exists in millions of cars providing infotainment, hands-free systems, noise control, and advanced driver assist systems. Self-driving is simply a step in the deepening of these relationships. BlackBerry is no longer a failed smartphone maker and is poised to be a major player in the next big thing in tech. Investors would be wise to put the company on their watch list. NVIDIA. Shareholders of NVIDIA stock has seen their investments tumble to well below broader market returns in recent weeks. The catalyst for the slump was a third quarter report in mid-November that showed collapsing demand for products tied to cryptocurrency mining. That shift pushed sales down slightly in NVIDIA's core gaming category compared to the prior quarter. Its other divisions continue to expand, though, including an automotive segment that rose 19% year over year thanks to popular products like its Drive PX platform. So, 3 stocks to watch.
I mean, see, this is the type of stuff, man. It's kind of like, all right, on the one thing, on one side of the spectrum, you can kind of look at market turmoil, right? And then on the other side, you get a glimpse into the future. And it's really just a matter of like, okay, where am I going to give my attention to? Because when you start talking about this, like BlackBerry, for example, I had no idea.
Yeah. So BlackBerry bought QNX in 2009 during when Apple.
Shit.
Yeah, they bought QNX. That's why it took BlackBerry so long to get back into the game, because they bought the whole entire operating system for dirt
They
cheap.
leveraged,
I
man.
forget how much. Yeah.
Wow.
So QNX is mostly used in German cars, but they were going to use that platform to challenge the iOS, but it takes too long. It takes like 4 or 5 years for them to actually develop a platform from ground up using that platform, using QNX. So they couldn't compete with Apple. Apple pretty much pushed them out, because Apple was squeezing out 4 or 5 version 6 of iPhone before they could even get their first product off the ground. So that sort of turnaround was too long for them. So they had to get out of the smartphone game and focus on autonomous vehicles and automotive integration.
Yeah.
And most of the European cars that you see actually have QNX in their in the infotainment system, whereas Ford uses Microsoft Sync.
Right. Right. Man, whoever projected that acquisition, man, kudos.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, QNX runs off of BSD.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You hear that, Christian?
Yeah, and they're also inside the Subarus for like that. Is it eyesight that they use?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, interesting stuff.
I know. You have anything you want to add?
Yes, this ties into what I said about the other. Oops, I got to mute up.
Okay. Preem, you have anything you want to add?
No, sir.
All right. Go ahead, Ulysses.
No. That was kind of, NVIDIA. We've discussed on previous hangouts. We saw like what they rolled out CES last year, or no, I'm sorry, this year, January CES. We have CES coming up here next month for 2019. So it'll be interesting to see what it is that AMD and NVIDIA does roll out. To support self-driving vehicle platforms. But no, the one that stood out to me was BlackBerry. That one was the one that kind of just like, I was like, wait, what?
Their stock was moving at less, I think, $1.50 or something like that. Maybe a year or so ago.
God,
I
don't
think
tell
the
me.
stock is up. Yeah, I think the stock is up to maybe about $13, $14 now. I think
Well, okay.
I think the pop was like $20 or something like that. But it's gonna increase after 2020.
Right.
Almost guaranteed, because of autonomous vehicle development. So
that's what I'm saying.
plus they just bought Cylance.
Wait,
Plus
who
they
they
just
bought?
bought
They bought who?
Cylance and Cylance, which is a cybersecurity company, and they have they also what was I about to say? I was about to say something. I'll come back around to it, but essentially, for the most part, BlackBerry is the most slept on company out of the three. I mean, you knew Intel was doing a lot of things because of all the drone technology and where their chips were. NVIDIA had already just demonstrated their AI chips, so those stocks, you kind of knew where they were going to go. But for BlackBerry, if you weren't buying BlackBerry before, you missed out.
Yep.
It's going to moonshot. It's going to moonshot in a year or so.
You heard it here first. I got nothing else on this one.
Okay. Share my screen. I thought that was Noah right there. The next article is from CNBC.com. Tesla names Larry Ellison and Kathleen Wilson Thompson to the board after SEC settlement. Go down here. Tesla named Larry Ellison and Kathleen Wilson Thompson to its board on Friday, in compliance with SEC settlement. The the appointments add. This is kind of a weird written article. The appointments add needed business and human resource expertise to the board, though add to the questions about CEO Elon Musk's influence over the board. Wilson Thompson is the global head of human resources at Walgreens Boots Alliance and a former executive at Kellogg. Ellison is co-founder and executive chairman of Oracle, and recently disclosed a massive personal stake in Tesla.
Yeah, that's what stood out to me in all of this.
Mm-hmm. Ellison owns 3 million shares of Tesla stock, according to a company spokesperson. That stake would be worth close to $1 billion at Friday's opening price. In October, Ellison said Tesla was his second largest holding and staunchly defended Musk against ongoing criticism of his behavior. You are telling me that he is an idiot. I just want to know who you are, so I know why I should never believe you. I should believe you as opposed to a friend of Elon Musk. So, who's this person? Oh, I forgot she was a sister.
Yeah,
I forgot she was a sister. But yeah, I mean Tesla, doing some political changes here.
Yeah, I mean, but they're still keeping it techie. Shout outs to him, by the way. What I had no idea Ellison was like such a huge stakeholder. God.
Well, he must know something, right? So,
right.
Obviously his company is Oracle. Oracle has a big reputation for database administration and development, and as well as Java, because they bought Sun back in mid to late 2000s, and have better program development in terms of the technology world. So maybe they know something that we don't.
That's my thought. And I mean, shit, dude, for somebody like Ellison to like basically sink, I mean, who's to say like what he bought it in for? They're saying that essentially his stakehold in Tesla is if you were to sell it on, at market value, it'd be close to about $1 billion. So who's to say what he bought it for? But the mere fact that he bought that much is what stuck out to me. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't just some guy. It's just some rich guy. Like, oh yeah, that's an electric car company. That'd be cool. No, dude. This dude's from Oracle. Okay, so to me that strikes as a strategic investment.
Well, you think about Microsoft put a lot of money into who they put a lot of money into. Christian, help me out with this.
Was it Ford?
I want to say it's Ford's autonomous driving division.
It is. No, if you yeah. That's Microsoft.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but I was like Ford.
But then you take in Google has put a lot of money into Waymo.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now, if you're Oracle, you're probably saying, where do we stand? Right. Apple's working on something. Apple's working on something. They're not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, right? So maybe they're positioning themselves with Tesla to say this is a safe bet for us.
Okay. There has to be something on the table at Apple, but dude, I haven't seen nothing. We were talking about this last night, just with regards to Apple and just where the hell are they in all of this? I would have thought that they would have made a bid for Tesla by now. Truth be told, how much cash that they got? If they're not going to go about innovating anything on their own, they may as well try to like buy something.
Keep in mind that a lot of that cash comes from not paying taxes. So
I
think they've had to reconcile that with I think they have to reconcile that with Trump and actually fight a lot of these lawsuits. So
bring that money back onshore, where from like Ireland or wherever it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of places that, that the EU has basically sanctioned and said that you didn't pay taxes here, so you're gonna have to cough up. So
yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, no, it makes sense, man, that somebody like an Ellison would take a strategic investment in something like in a company like Tesla.
he'll sink. This is my IT hat on thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
He'll sink some patents in there that has something to do with Java or something to do with like distributed databases or something to that effect into their platform. Anybody who buys it will have to be dealing with Oracle at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can see that.
That sounds like a strategic move on his behalf. He doesn't buy companies. I mean, he doesn't invest into companies just for nothing.
Just right.
And plus, that he says that's his buddy. So, I'm referring to Elon Musk. So
yeah. I mean, shit, dude. Like, he bought into the damn Golden State Warriors, and look what happened. Mm-hmm. Dude really ain't trying to lose like that.
Oh, Lionel, did you have anything you want to add to this?
I think he's still muted.
Yeah, you have to get to mute up. So, next article is from electrek.co. Porsche says Tesla owners are the top taken reservation holders.
Wow.
We are still about a year away from Porsche starting the production of the Taycan, its first all-electric vehicle, but the company is already seeing some strong demand. The German automaker claims that they have a year worth of pre-orders, and Tesla owners are the top Taycan reservation holders. Klaus Zellman, the head of Porsche North America, made the comment during an interview with CNET. Without confirming an actual number, Zellman said, quote, "If all the people who pre-ordered buy this car, then we are sold out for the first year." Previously, Porsche was reportedly planning to produce about 20,000 Taycan vehicles per year. The company recently said that it might increase planned production of the Taycan all-electric vehicle as demand soared. The bulk of demand is actually not coming from Porsche owners. Zellman said that more than half of the reservation holders are new to Porsche, and the top brand they are coming from is Tesla. The German premium car automaker has a weird relationship with Tesla as it moves its own first all-electric vehicle program forward. Earlier this year, Porsche said that Tesla is not a benchmark for them in the development of Taycan, but the company was spotted benchmarking Taycan test mules with the Tesla Model S P85D. Porsche CEO Oliver Bloom also admitted that Tesla is stealing away some customers, and they are clearly trying to position the Taycan against Model S. The company says that it aims to bring the Taycan to market by the end of 2019. So, Ulysses, what's your take on this?
The emperor wears no clothes. At the end of the day, dude, Porsche is like, look, we've been making cars. We don't give a shit if it's electric, gas, whatever, right? We've been making cars, period, longer than Tesla, right? It wasn't going to take them long, dude, to put a car out there that, one, is going to assuage the potential Tesla buyer, and then two, also strikes to the people who are adamant followers of the Porsche brand. That's why I'm laughing. I was like, dude, Porsche gets it. They got it. What they did was they watched to see what happens with Tesla. They were like, okay, well, let's just see if this is going to be a legit thing. Because if it is, well, look, we can take that and pair it with the Porsche brand. We can do this. We just want to see if this is a legit. That's why you hear a confident tone. They're like, look, we're not looking at Tesla as a benchmark. They're like kind of like, they're like, look, we just wanted to see if there's going to be a legit market. We know we can produce a better car. We already know this. Our shit wins Le Mans. It wins GT3 Cups. It wins, you know, our dude, they have a storied history, right? Tesla's a new brand. Like, let's not, I'm not going to take away from what it has done to create the market that it's created. However, Porsche is not, as a company, they're literally not going to sit there and get bitch slapped by Tesla. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, I always thought that Porsche had the right, you know, mainstream design. They just need to electrify it, right? That's all they really needed to do. Whereas
dude, that electric car, that Taycan doesn't look electric, quote unquote. It looks like a Porsche.
It looks just like a regular Porsche.
Yep.
Yeah. Or what a Panamera would look like if it was electric.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the same thing for Audi and the rest of the companies. People are used to their, you know, their design language. With Tesla, it's not the same, right? So with Tesla, it's like it's funny shaped. It's, you know, the Model S doesn't look. It looks good, but then you go down to the Model 3, and you're like, what is this? Like, it doesn't look like it's 100% complete. And then you go down to the Model X, and you're like, what is this? I don't know what to make of it. Is it a van? Is it an SUV? What is this?
And well, I mean, you know, and that's kind of where it's a gift and a curse for Tesla. You know, their cars are bespoke, right? So they are what they are, and there's just going to be people that are just going to say, okay, Tesla, right? But those are only going to be the Tesla people. You have Porsche people, and Porsche people are everywhere, and there's lots of them. And like we said, the Taycan doesn't look like some sort of, you know, weird take on an electric car that Porsche is doing. No, it looks very much like a Porsche. So they've that's why I was laughing. I'm laughing at at what's coming out of Porsche in terms of the tone that they're taking. They're like, look, at the end of the day, you know, we can electrify a Porsche and it's going to be a Porsche, right? And I'm sorry, if you're going to stack Porsche against Tesla, we'll put our money on ourselves. So game on. That's all I can say.
You know, and you know, this works. And you know, if we're talking about the whole electric vehicle thing, and now from the electrical vehicle thing being a solution for carbon or for the environment, but if you're going to take this, if you're going to do the electric vehicle thing, you're going to do it directly to the market the way how Tesla has done it. You know, you have to give a good experience and you have to give performance, and Tesla has done that. Porsche obviously is going to go ahead and do that, and this right here is going to be the challenge against, you know, electric autonomous, because what electric autonomous lacks that just electric has, electric being Tesla or, you know, Porsche has, is the experience. The person getting behind the wheel of the vehicle, driving it, and it running through their marrow, them getting that feeling, being one with the vehicle. That's still there. When you're in an autonomous electric, you don't get that. Okay, you get the transport, you get the fuel, you know, you get the less carbon, you get the less thing, you know, being done to the atmosphere. But what you lack is that experience. And there's some people on this panel, including, you know, myself, who, you know, who like the driving experience. You know, some of you guys like, you know, high performance vehicles. And I would ask y'all, you know, would you trade that experience of driving a high performance sports car?
Well, with this
an autonomous vehicle, but with what Porsche is doing, you aren't trading that off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with these cars, you're gonna basically, you have the option of selecting the level of autonomy, right? You can drive it, you can set it to a level, what is it, Mike? Level 4, I think, level I think it goes to level 5, level 4. No, level 5.
Level 5 means there's no steering wheel.
There's no steering wheel. So we're talking up to level 4 in this case, right? Where the car basically just drives itself. But you have the option to choose that.
Yeah, but the reason why that doesn't work, that's not a selling point. That's not going to be. I mean, you can have it all you want.
Yeah, it'll be in the feature of the car, but I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. That's not necessarily why you're going to sell the car.
You're not going to drive a Porsche.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not the point of buying the shit, right?
A level 5 would be the equivalent of a private jet, right? You're talking about a G5, G6, G7 private jet. That goes from that because you have a chauffeur. You're not the person flying it. It's actually a chauffeur driving it for you, a pilot driving it for you. That's where those autonomous vehicles are going to be. That's when you're going to see the Rolls Royces, the Maybachs and the Bentleys and stuff have a level 5 base vehicle where the people who are buying that they're not going to question the integrity of the vehicle because they know what they're buying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me knock this article out.
Okay.
What's going on, Scholar Chang? BusinessInsider.com. Truck owners are blocking Tesla superchargers in icing protests. The vehicle you see, I think it's owned by one of our panel members. Tesla drivers are reporting a spate of icing, an acronym for internal combustion engine, by large trucks at superchargers across the country. In one instance, Reddit user Lasenia said a group of trucks blocked all the charging spots while chanting "F Tesla" before being asked to leave by an employee of the store.
Wow.
Like most superchargers, the location where the incident occurred, behind a Sheetz convenience store in Hickory, North Carolina, about 40 miles northwest of Charlotte, isn't on land owned by Tesla. Rather, it's leased from third parties, giving the company no control over how the supercharger spots are used from day to day. I was really uncomfortable, the Tesla owner said, adding that Sheetz employees were really understanding and sent someone out immediately. A Sheetz spokesperson said the company was aware of the incident and apologized for any inconvenience. Sheetz is proud to offer a wide variety of fueling options, including one of the largest networks of Tesla superchargers. Nick Ruffman, the chain's PR manager, said in an email, parking spots with Tesla superchargers are reserved exclusively for those charging their vehicles. These spots are regularly monitored by our store managers and employees who routinely ask motorists to move their vehicles. Another Tesla owner in Bristol, Tennessee, spotted a Dodge Ram truck blocking a charging spot while other charging cable mockery attached to the bed.
That's my truck right there.
Thank you for telling us. Laws about parking and reserved spots vary by state. In Arizona, for instance, it's illegal to park in any parking space specifically designated for parking and fueling motor vehicles fueled exclusively by electricity, unless the motor vehicle is powered by electricity and has been issued an alternative fuel vehicle special plate. The incidents aren't new, and Tesla owners have complained about them for years online. To be sure, some may be accidental, but many, like the incident in Hickory, were clearly meant to provoke. Some even love to shame their gas guzzling peers when they park in EV charger spots. So I don't, Preem, please tell me what's going on here.
Wow.
How would I know? That's the South. It's just like I said. I mean, it's done to people are just doing it to provoke, man.
Oh, really?
This is the first time I've heard about it. I don't know the rhyme or reason behind it, but yeah, definitely it's gonna go ahead and.
Dude, let me give you my shake on this one, dude, because
based on the commentary we had from you earlier in the hangout with lead us to believe that you have some inside information on this. What's going on?
I wouldn't do anything like this, man. I wouldn't do anything like this. But that's the
Well, not on record.
that's the software. You know?
Man, this is this is purely political. It's purely political. That's all it is. They look at Tesla and supercharging stations and all that as an indictment on your Republican sort of anti-neoliberal, green this, organic that. It's a big middle finger to all this. You see it happens here in California.
Excellently said.
What would you say, Preem?
I said that was excellently said. When he said it's like a big middle finger. Yeah.
I have a story to tell about this, but I'll tell it offline.
Okay. You got Scholar.
I know you have anything you want to ask?
Yo, how you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Hey.
Good, you?
Yes, hi. So I I was just listening to the different instances of anti-electric car. I think I agree. Besides being political, I think another reason is because I think societal. How can I say this? The norm is still. How can I say this? The certain sector of the population are still resistant to changes in terms of the vehicle. So that's why because to them anybody who driving a those electric vehicle really represents essentially like a frontier to their lifestyle. How the whole reactionary when there's a new societal changes.
Yep.
I think that's why besides being political, it's also cultural too. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that, and also on top of that, they probably dislike the fact that electric car gets special parking privilege. You mentioned parking privilege. I think in some states they also get those what do they call those high occupants lane, HOV. So I think some states allow electric vehicle to operate in those lanes too. So that's why all these gasoline powered vehicles just resent the fact that the electric vehicle gets some sort of special treatment. To be honest with you, though, I have no problem with it because electric vehicle, if truly we develop long enough, hopefully that will eventually replace the the car. Well, I'm sorry. What were you about to say? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say I want to make 2 points to that. The other, the first thing though, is that they're also taking affront to the fact that, like, so say for example in California, electric vehicles, you buy an electric car here, you get large subsidies. The government, like the state of California, will give you a very generous tax credit on that, right? Like, so for example, if you go to, what was that?
7,500.
Well,
7,500 off a Tesla.
Yeah, more than that out here. Like when there's some other credits you can pile onto that. Put it like this: you got people if they qualify to get like a P100 Model S, the one that goes for about like 85, 90 grand. They can walk out of that thing with a basket of tax credits applied to that thing for about 60 grand. So they can get about 25K knocked off of that thing.
Let me.
I've heard of large chunks of money getting knocked off of that thing for the purchase of that thing. Versus gas is getting taxed. They just added another tax on gas here in California. Right, so it's another reason for people to be salty and do shit like that, because it costs more to put gas in your car. Meanwhile, they're just slicing chunks of money off the purchase of a Tesla if you want one, or a Leaf, for that matter.
And this is why I said, you know, if this thing is going to work, this, you know, like we were talking about the autonomous thing, it has to be mandated. It has to be, you know, a lawed up. Like for instance, with these people and these pictures, them doing that, they're saying some states they have laws to where people can get in trouble for it. Some states they don't. But you may have someone who's blocking these things, and ironically, it was called Hickory, Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever, and called the law enforcement. The law enforcement guy says, "Oh yeah, man, we're gonna be right over there." And they hang up the phone and start laughing because they get it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? So since Tesla's going to the free, you know, to the free market, and it's not like they don't have like all the governments on their side or whatever. As far as getting it enforced at that level, at that granular level, yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough because again, that's why it may work in that place in China because you have to have some sealed off place to where everybody believes this thing, everybody gets it, everybody buys into it. But when you start to go ahead and project it out there and say, listen, everybody should get this. This is the quote unquote smart thing to do if you want a smart place, smart city, smart town. Now there's a certain level of imposition or infringement on somebody's right or to choose whether or not they want it or not. And then when behind that you put it, well, they are culturally just don't get this, that, whatever. Then you're gonna have some problems. I mean, it's not rocket science. You will absolutely have problems. But if that's their thing, and they want to have their own sealed off enclave where, you know, they can, you know, do the organic tree hugging, the electric this, autonomous that, or whatever, it works. But when you try to take it out there, the only way you're going to get this thing enforced, you know, as far as, you know, people not doing this, blocking those stations is by mandate. And that's why I said the challenge is going to be pushing this through the free market because you're going to have to give everybody on board, and you're going to have to give them a really, really big reason why this should get behind this. And with those spaces, I've seen them like in like Druid Hills, you know, in the little hippie parts of Atlanta here. But I'm not sure in these other places in this news article if they're like in the front. I don't think it would have these issues if they like had these parking spaces like way in the back. You know, but if someone drives up in his F-150 gas guzzling or diesel guzzling F-150, he's like, Jesus Christ, you know, the first 8 spaces are for these vehicles, and we got to park back here. They're gonna feel a certain kind of way, and people just, you know, people are gonna protest their own way of doing it, and you know, okay, call the police. What the police gonna do? They're probably gonna laugh at you on the phone, and I'll be out of here by then. There's not gonna be any type of enforcement to it. So maybe if they move those things to the very back, I don't think people who maybe don't like it, that they would have these types of issues.
Well, see, the problem is that these rednecks, for the most part, think that they're Rosa Parks. Okay, they think they're Rosa Parks. I ain't moving my vehicle. You ain't gonna make me leave. You know, that type of bullshit. You know, is exactly why, you know, we can't get along. Right? It's that type of shit. We can't advance as a society because you have these Luddites, rednecks, revving up their engines and pulling out all that smog and sitting in these spots and just occupying it. You know, just this isn't about civil rights. This isn't about civil rights, Mr. Preem. You know what I'm saying? This is about advancing technology. You know, if you don't like it, you know.
Again, just like you said. Yes, sir. Again.
Oh, go ahead.
Build their city, the little enclave, put a bubble around it, and do their electric technological thing in there. And if it makes sense to the people.
But wait a minute. Wait. See, Lord, this is where I have to stop because I'm like, wait, aren't these guys using some form of advanced technology relative to times prior to? I mean, a little perspective is in order. Are they not operating vehicles that have fuel-injected engines, internal combustion engines, and all this type of stuff? Are they not using machinery that is, say, far more advanced than, say, the machinery that existed, say, 40, 50, 60 years prior? Do they have a problem with this?
No, again, listen. I said, one thing. You A/B test everything. Marketing, you A/B test everything, but then now you kind of like A to Z test everything. I would just say A/B test it. Move those spaces to the very, very back. I don't think you have a problem because nobody has an issue.
Where? You say the back, but the back of what though? Like the back of what?
I'm about to get there. Like in the front, nobody has an issue with those first couple of spaces being for handicapped people, or being for pregnant mothers, or being for veterans, disabled veterans, whatever. But if these spaces, I'm guessing here, but it looks like from the pictures that these spaces are in the first couple of parking slots. In certain areas, people are going to feel a certain kind of way, and they're going to protest in a certain kind of way. And I'm saying those spaces in the very back.
Isn't that like?
Just move those.
Isn't that like? Yeah, but isn't that like digital racism, like digital bigotry or something like that? Like, how is it that you have a problem with? You don't have a problem with handicap spots being there, but you got a problem with electric vehicles pulling up there. Like, I don't get that.
Okay, hold on, give me a second. So
wait, and you have to also explain to me how that somehow they have priority over the electric vehicle.
Hold on, give me a second. So if you want to go and tell me if my mother, who's a grandmother, yeah, she's able-bodied, but if if the grandmother shows up and has a couple of toddlers, she's just gonna, she needs to park a couple of spaces over or further back and walk past Mike V, who's able-bodied, getting out of his electric vehicle and doing just fine. She needs to park all the way in the back, watch these kids weave through all these other cars that are backing out and whatever, so Mike V can have his little space in the front for his electric vehicle. In certain parts of the country, that dog don't hunt, bro.
Wait. What if it has
electric vehicle?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, but electric vehicle spots don't occupy the same area as handicap spots. Handicap spots are always priority.
Of course,
at the front.
And the thing about it too is that usually the electric vehicle spots are typically going to be closer to where the majority of the electrical grid is at. If you go further away out into the parking lot, you're getting further away from where all the electricity is being run, getting piped to where the like, say for like example, we're talking about a Walmart. Okay, the closer you are to the building, the closer you are to the electrical infrastructure. Okay. Well, so that means that electrical parking is going to have to be closer to the infrastructure.
Figure it out. They're gonna have to go ahead and figure it out.
No, that is figured out. That's what I'm explaining it to you. It is figured out.
So listen. So if someone you mean to tell me people who have houses in rural areas, they don't, who have Teslas, they have charging things inside their homes, they're like right next to a grid or something?
Usually, they're plugging to their house.
Again, I don't know about how far away, but I just don't think that's going to be like if they're another 50 yards away, that is impossible. That they cannot be 50 more yards away.
No, what I'm saying is it's more convenient. It's more convenient, right? It's more convenient to put the electrical charging ports closer to where the electrical infrastructure is. It only makes sense to do that. And so if you're going to do that, then vis-a-vis, you have to put the electrical parking, the parking spaces for the electrical cars closer.
Okay, if you put them close and you don't have no charge, you can't charge them because people are taking up those spaces. Now what?
No, what I'm saying is that the dude that can drive the high-rise F-150 can walk his ass, I don't know, another 30, 40 feet. He's okay. He can do it. All right.
Again, just hear me now and believe me later. I'm just saying, in certain parts of this country, it doesn't all have to be in the South, but in certain places, this dog just ain't going to hunt. It just ain't.
We're seeing that because they're backing these trucks up in the Tesla supercharging stations. I'm
saying now, if they want to stand staunch on their hubris and say it's going to be up here no matter what, screw you, fine.
So why is it okay for you to have straight pipes on your F-150 and blow out smog and cheap regulations, but the guy whose car moves around silently, you're telling him he needs to get to the back of the store, drink at this water fountain, you're not allowed to read these books.
I don't have one of those. I hate that stuff whenever I see it. But I was just being objective here. I was not saying this in defense of what these people are doing. I'm just saying this is a problem, and it's not. This is how you go ahead and figure out a solution to this. And there's certain things that you have to go ahead and take in mind. Sometimes we have to we can't have tunnel vision about everything. We have to be objective and look at both sides of the story and both sides of the argument.
Oh yeah, no, and all I was doing is proposing an argument to that. Or
choose not to, but be willing. There's going to be decisions and consequences and ramifications for everything. Choose not to. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I think the best way to go ahead and figure this thing out is to be objectively minded. But if you want to, if imposition is the way that people's like, no, they're going to go ahead and get this. We're not going to live in prehistoric magnum times or whatever it's called. They're just going to have to, tech up or get up to speed. Try it. See, and let me know how it works out.
Well, that's the whole thing, man. That's why we're discussing, because it is being tried, and you're seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
Let's see. Saint AR says people don't like change. He's so correct. Folks will push back, especially because they can't afford a Tesla. They're gonna hate hard.
Yeah.
Well, Tesla's coming out with a truck too. So.
Yeah, you have people. I'm not sure last time you guys priced out a F-150 Raptor, but those
they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, they can. You can get them up to $100,000.
Yeah,
which is far more than a Tesla costs.
Yeah. And you got the new Rimac. You got the new Rimac pickup truck that's coming out.
And the F-150 Raptor is a superior vehicle to any Tesla.
Christian, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Man, I have absolutely no comment to this. I'm going to jump in the middle of the trap. I've got nothing to say to this.
I know.
I do not. I don't have anything to mention on this one.
And Scholar Chang?
I think he's muted right now.
Chang, you did? Okay. Now, see, that wouldn't happen in China. You wouldn't be able to occupy somebody's space because you didn't like the fact that they had a electric vehicle. That wouldn't happen.
Of course, because China is a communist country. Like I said, the only way this thing works at scale.
Uh-oh.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Hi. Hey, so Mr. Mike mentioned about when China, you won't be able to occupy. You mean as far as you won't be able to occupy by the anti-electric car driver, or do you mean as far as the special designated parking spot for electric car?
No, I was
Oh, you just mean you're sarcastic, right? Hello?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what I want to also add is the fact that I largely agree with you, Mike. The fact that electric instead of being reactionary Luddites, now I won't call them all redneck, because I think it's not just the Caucasian Americans. There's also some actually, I think that in America it's largely Caucasian American, because you don't see people of color really have a problem. I don't know. So maybe you're right. It's mainly redneck, but those reactionary Luddites, when they're trying to post the destination of those I won't call them privileged, but those special treatments that enjoyed by electric vehicle, they didn't take into consideration the fact that the cost of electric vehicle is still pretty high, right? If I'm not mistaken, last time I checked, right, was that $250,000 just for the new Tesla model? Was it $250,000? I think more than quarter. I think a little bit more over $250,000. So that's why the fact that those people are actually paying a hefty price for. I think also, you know what? That just brought another important point. Also, the people who usually drive electric vehicle are tech guys, right? A lot of them are actually, I guess, more on the politically speaking, they're more leaning toward the
liberal side.
The liberal side. So maybe so maybe to add on to what Mr. Ulysses mentioned earlier about the political aspect. So yeah, maybe that's not the reason about that too. Is because the people who are anti electric vehicle tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side. So maybe that's the reason. But who knows? Because I'm not sure if there's a more resentment of the wealth distribution or resentment of the political class. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a technological miscegenation that they have a problem with. They don't want IR marriages, electric vehicles, Starbucks. They can't stand anything. So that's who these people are. So.
But I think but you know what's funny though? I also want to add on to that. You mentioned about the same group of people that oppose all these technological advancement. But also the people who support, like for example, robot those sex robots, as well as some of them are actually also on the politically conservative side too. But that's more because in reaction to the feminists and so forth. So I don't know. That can be a very very tricky aspect, because you would think that people who are on the conservative side tend to be anti technology, but actually a lot of them are also on the, well, I won't say they don't fit into typical demographic.
They all have a smartphone in their back pocket, so they just need to shut the hell up.
Again, this isn't rocket science. This is very basic. Just test it out and move the charging stations to the end of the parking lot.
Or they can grow up, Prem. They can do that too.
Again, pick a fight with these, the jacked up truck wearing with a shotgun in the rear view mirror and AR-15s underneath the seats if you want to. I mean, what are you gonna hit them with? A damn Whole Foods bag? I mean, just move the things to the end of the parking lot. Just test it out. Problem solved.
Maybe Preem has a point. Maybe they should try a different location. But at the same time, I still think that. I still think that all these electric vehicles should have like a Montgomery March. They should all like parade their vehicles down the street, with like bird scooters or something like that, and behind, and saying, we will not be moved or something like that, Let me go to the next article, because it's the last one before.
No, you're good. Oh shit!
On real TV right now, man. Oh, all right. So this one is from electric.co. Electric View. Rural Motors electric scooter is a 25 mile per hour, 50-mile range beast, right? Do you know anything about this, Ulysses?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I work on these things, man. Repair and build them, do all that stuff. I mean, 25 miles an hour, 50 miles. I would say if you have to account for grade, so like, if you're taking roads that have incline and stuff like that, that's going to be a draw on the battery too. So usually when you see like those claims like 50 miles, you have to really think realistically speaking as well. You're going to be hitting the throttle, drawing on the battery, then releasing on the throttle, hitting the brake, drawing on it again. Realistically, if they're claiming 50 miles, more like 35. Right? I mean, I'm looking at it. That's a pretty hefty battery.
50 miles downhill.
Huh? 50 miles downhill.
50 miles downhill.
Yeah, there you go. That's realistic right there.
Looks like it has Brembos.
Yeah. It's disc brakes. Front and it's a regen motor on the rear. So there's no brake on the rear from what I can see. But there's front brake, front disc brake. It's a massive battery. It's probably it's about like a 300-watt motor.
Let me look down here. 600-watt continuous.
Shit, 600 watt. Okay. 52 volts, 26 amp hour battery. Yeah, that's a nice pack down there. Weighs a shit ton, 51 pounds. Bird scooters weigh half that. They weigh half that. Go about, if you unlock them, if it has the dual fuse battery, you can do 25 on the bird scooters and probably get about 15 miles out of it. And it's half the weight.
Well, I think this has rear disc brakes.
Oh, it does. There it is, right there. 330 pounds you can load on this one. The bird scooters, you could put 250 on those. I mean, it's a pretty hefty. That's a pretty hefty scooter right there. You know, that's the thing, man. These things are gonna replace. They're largely gonna replace like what you know as, you know, typically as the scooter. Like when you think of like, you know, Honda Elite 50s, you know, like the Piaggio or Vespa, you know, kind of like the vintage style scooters. I mean, you can get the same type of speed and distance. You'll be able to get it out of these things right here. All you gotta do is just bolt a little like bolt-on seat to them, you know, and you know, this is kind of like the benefit of going electric, right? You know, electricity has a you know, the application of electrical power is far different from you know, a motor that requires a combustion process.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
If I put a seat on this thing, am I taking it on the road or am I keeping it on the sidewalk?
You're gonna take it on the bike lane.
Okay, and the other question is, on that 50 mile or 35 mile range, 25 mile an hour, the battery, how long of a battery thing do I have? Or how does the battery life work for the need to recharge it?
Your range on that battery they're claiming 50 miles.
Oh, so that's the range on the battery.
That's the range on the battery.
Okay, yeah, my bad. Yeah, that's right.
That's they're claiming on the battery, 50 miles. I'm saying 35, 30.
So then my other question is, once that battery is gone, how long does it take for it to like zoop to get
charge up? Probably like about 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 hours. Did they give a price on this one?
$1,200.
$1,200. Yeesh. Well, I mean, you know, the thing is that as more of this stuff starts to come onto the market, and as the cost of batteries cheapen, then you're going to see the cost of these vehicles drop even more. And, you know, these things will become more commonplace. The vehicles will become cheaper, and the performance will be what the standard is now. So I mean, in my view, like the best bang for buck right now on these type of kick scooters is going to be that Xiaomi M365, like the one that the bird scooters that they use. Like I said, they'll do about the same speed if you just have it. Yeah, if you have the new dual fuse battery, which is, I think all the new ones come with that now. Yeah, they're doing about 22 to 25 miles an hour, and they'll get you about 15 miles.
You know, I never took it even the slightest dive into this scooter thing to kind of, you know, do the calculus. But I think the more these things come up, the more I get to be able to, you know. So like, you know, like here in Atlanta, especially downtown, midtown, Buckhead, or whatever. I mean, they're just throwing up skyscrapers left and right, and you know, they're just filling them up. You know, with people. I mean, lots of them are, you know, multi-unit, you know, developments or whatever. And you know, I'm seeing cats driving these things. I'm seeing the station. So for someone who may move down there and know, okay, he may be in, you know, the Midtown area, but he works downtown, and you know, which is like a 7-8 mile trek to where he's got to go. Who probably before, you know, may have used Uber, may have considered getting a bike, but then now it's like, okay, they may do like a cost analysis, like, okay, what would a Uber trip cost me? You know, maybe $10 a pop or $5 a pop. I'm not sure what it costs for a short hop like that. Versus how long am I going to be here on this project? You know, maybe 8 months. Do I get one of these things, and then I can just take it to the next city with me, and I can bounce back and forth. And a lot of these tech guys are like, you know, they're pretty small dudes. You know, they weigh like, you know, 170, 160 pounds. So, you know, them in the backpack, you know, would be more than adequate for even a bird. You know, versus a cat like me, the only thing I could carry on one of these bad boys would be like a toothbrush, you know, before the tires pop. I mean, it works. I guess it will definitely work for them. But $1,200, I mean, for them to kind of for it to start getting into what is it, the black, or for it to kind of pay for itself. I wonder how many trips that would be normally they would take in like in Uber, because everything they need is around them now. The gym, the restaurants, the theater, the work, play,
Yeah.
everything.
Well, I mean, this is the reason why. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Preem, also keep in mind that you do get tax incentives for these scooters now. So these are on the you're able to write these off on your taxes. So there are tax incentives for electric scooters because they're considered to be vehicles now. They're considered to be personal vehicles now. So like just like a regular, these bikes. What do you call that? I have the browser open. Give me a second. What do they call those bikes?
And really quick, the reason why I asked about the seat, also was one was for that. Okay, are they going to put it on the street? What did they put on the street? What then they're comparing it to like a regular scooter. What was the benefit on that? But another thing would be like most of the folks that I see on these things are like, dude, you may see a chick on there, but someone, abroad that's, pushing 170, 180 pounds. I mean, she can barely walk, so if you're telling her to stand upright on one of these things, I would think standing upright on this for 7 miles would be more strenuous on the, on the overweight lady, not obese, but overweight lady than just.
Well, that's not, I don't think, somebody like that, I don't think they should be taking these things 7 miles. Just hail an Uber. just get in the car and go the 7 miles. I mean, the whole thing about what you guys were just speaking to is that what they found is when they rolled these rideshare services out, and I'm going to be doing like a little PowerPoint and stuff here in a bit, kind of going over our own little I don't even gonna call it little, but our own platform that we're rolling out. But what they found was that once people started using the scooters to go everywhere, the request for Uber and Lyft rides to go like those little 2 to 5 mile distances like completely dropped. Like they got cut like almost in half, like in places like Santa Monica, and birds started taking the money.
Totally, absolutely.
I was actually referring to this right here, Zero. I was referring to that. There's actually a tax incentive for this. Let me see if I can click on it. Let me see. Should be at the bottom. Okay, here it is right here. Available incentives: California 900, Massachusetts 750, Maryland 720.
Oh, for the Zero.
And then it goes up.
Electric motorcycles.
Yeah, then it goes up. I believe those scooters, and I could be wrong on this, and it might just be Massachusetts, but I believe you get like $100 or something like that off in tax incentives.
If you have a clever tax guy, I'm pretty sure he'll figure out a way if you're here in California.
To that last statement that you made, as far as the request for the little short hops in the Ubers, dropping off of a cliff, I would have absolutely believed, bet that, and see that happen, because this kind of solves that. It's a better option, it's a better value, to the market. So when we're talking about the whole transportation options or options of transportation, just being someone from the outside looking in, I look at it and be like, okay, at the end of the day, what are we talking about here? We're just talking about transporting people. And what's the benefit in this versus that? Irrespective of how advanced this, it may be to the end user, if it's not mandated, if you're making a value proposition for them to go ahead and pull out their wallet, or, and to go ahead and buy something or buy into it, what's the benefit of that? And these scooters, when it comes to the little short hops, it's quicker, it's easier. You don't have to go on the app, wait on somebody. Do they find you? Can they see you? You're waving your hand. It's not, you just You walk down to the parking deck, get on your shit, and go. 4 miles. It's a much better option because at the end of the day, it's just about transporting this person from here to there. So when you scaled it up and you talk about, okay, we're transporting massive amount of people, I'm like, okay, if you use this thing, it may be better tech, but if it's slower than, let's say, a bullet rail, because I think parts in Asia they have that bullet train or bullet rails or whatever, I see that as a much better option as far as tech wise for transporting people versus something that's very slow because it has to be careful not to get hit by other people or not to get hit by something unless unless it's in a controlled environment. Because at the end of the day, it's about transport. It's about it's transportation. That's all it is.
I just want to share my screen one more time to show program on EDX. Because we're talking about autonomous vehicles and ride sharing and things of that nature. So there is a micro-master's degree program on EDX, Emerging Automotive Technologies. So basically, and it only costs $1,260. So job outlook.
Sorry, Mike. I was about to ask you real quick about that too. The EDX. Have you ever taken any of those MicroMaster classes? Have you ever gone through any of those EDX MicroMaster and certification classes? I just want to say.
Yeah, I've enrolled in one before. Why?
Well, the reason I ask because I'm thinking about getting enrolled in one too. Because I've been taking those, by auditing those different EDS classes, but I don't know if how reliable are those. Well, not reliable, but how transferable those master programs are and stuff. I just wondering if you have any experience with that. That's all. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
All right, let me just read this over real quick. So the job outlook on this is our registrations of electric cars hit a new market in 2016, so over 750,000 vehicle sales worldwide. What you'll learn: design and simulate electric and hybrid powertrains, understand the fundamentals of passive and active safety concepts, model and simulate vehicle dynamics, implement intelligent perception and decision procedures needed for self-driving cars. There's 7 classes here, or 7 courses here: electric and conventional vehicles, road traffic safety and automotive engineering, hybrid vehicles, model-based automotive systems engineering, sensor fusion and nonlinear filtering for automotive systems, multi-object tracking for automotive systems. That's LiDAR, for those of you who don't understand what that is. And decision making for autonomous vehicles. So that's AI. And you're getting that for $1,260. We are not affiliated with EDX, but I can't stress enough. This is I don't know any other community college that's even talking about this.
I mean, there's like these other programs that I'm not trying to down talk or anything like that, but like Udacity and there's a few other institutions that do like micro degrees in this type of stuff, specialized degrees. I think like the cost is like, I think it's a lot more.
For Udacity?
I think so. For some of those courses, I think they're like a lot more than what that the cost is for that course on EDX.
Yeah, the thing about Udacity versus EDX is that the accreditation of the institutions that are providing these programs are actually very well accredited, right? So
yeah.
Let me finish those.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They're accredited. So if you take a MicroMasters, it actually allows you to go take the full master's degree program at their university without any sort of any sort of challenges, such as taking your prerequisite testing exams, SATs, and all this other stuff that you would normally take to get in. So, go ahead, Scholar Training.
Yeah, I just want to add. Like I said, I personally, I love EDX. Ever since it become part of the massive online open course MOOC. So I just don't know. I haven't taken the step of actually enrolling in one of those certificate programs, those paid certificate programs. So I was just wondering if you have any experience in it. That's why when you first mentioned about EDX, that got me excited because I've been a loyal user of MOOC since its foundation. I think before EDX was what, Coursera. That's another one. I think Coursera also has a very, very similar certification program too. So I don't know. I was just wondering if you, and also you mentioned about the community versus the community college. I agree. Community college. What if you enroll in some of the micro master program probably cost you up to like what, 14,000 at least. Because what they think about 2,000, a little bit. Oh shit. Well, maybe exaggerating. I think about 4-year university. For community college, probably like around 7,000 because around a little bit over 1,000 per class. In this cases. So yeah. I just wonder if you had any experience in that. That's all.
So the only one I've taken is the cloud computing one. I still need to finish. So Ulysses, you have the floor. You can take over.
Oh, okay. Well, what I did was I decided, because I know we've run about like 2 hours here, we had like a lively discussion. A lot of what I put together in the docket, quite frankly, we have been covering over like the last couple weeks. So what I did was I took the links for the specific docket as it related to rideshare. I went ahead and shared those in the chat. I'll just kind of briefly go over them. One is a Wikipedia entry on essentially the concept of the last mile, right? That's kind of like the basis of what all of this is kind of sprung from. So it's basically getting, you from point A to point B, with point A to point B being about, anywhere from, a couple hundred feet to, at the most, maybe 2 to 3 miles. Okay. So it's about a whole entire transportation industry that's built off of the quote unquote last mile concept. So I provided a link there that really kind of gets into the nuts and bolts of what that's all about. The second link that I did provide in the chat over there is an article on the micro transportation movement. Now, this is what you've been hearing us talk a whole lot about, particularly with the scooters, the bird scooters, the lime scooters, the jump scooters, Lyft scooters, Skip. Ford just rolled out their own fleet of GPS, enabled scooters in Austin, Texas, just last week. Ford is in the game with electric scooters. So this is kind of just some insight as to how transportation how transportation challenges are going to get met or going to be met. It's going to be met largely with these types of solutions: scooters, bikes, and then even larger electric scooters, electric motorcycles, small electric vehicles that can take you, anywhere from short to long distances. And there's a technological infrastructure that is behind it all. And so that's what I'll get into in just a minute, because that'll kind of give you some insight as to like how all of this operates and how all these different companies are utilizing these various logistics platforms to manage all this stuff out in the field. Another link that I provided also is urban mobility redefined. So this is kind of like the angle that we kind of are pushing, because one of the things that we were really kind of getting behind here is owning the transportation networks in the neighborhoods that we occupy. All right. So if can own the transportation networks, these new transportation networks. You lay the foundation on them. So you have the vehicles that are out in the field that people use, and you control the fleet vis-a-vis a GPS-based software. And from there, you can track and record where all of your movements go. And you start to create your own, you can layer transportation solutions on top of what it is that you're already building. So you may start with scooters, and scooters you'll notice that, okay, they're only taking these people so far, but then these people are getting off here and then they're going elsewhere. So maybe what I need to do is put some bikes here. The bikes will take them further. And, from there, you start to take ownership of the transportation elements in your communities. And from there, you start to claim ownership of things more related to just the transportation. And that's how you own your own communities. So this is the new way to do it. And I'm really pushing that we get involved for those who have the interest to get involved, because it's the barrier to entry is not what we think it is. And, you don't want to wake up one day and see a bird scooter in front of your house, because as soon as you do, it's over. You can forget about it. So it's kind of like, all right, let's get moving on this type of stuff here. So those 3 articles right there really kind of give you a solid basis as to what this is all about, right? This is a whole new entire industry. We just saw, what was it, Mike? It was like 2 weeks ago, GM, how many plants they shutting down? 5? 5 plants, is it? They've shut down a lot of plants. A lot of people are being put out of work. However, where you see a downturn in one place, you see an upturn somewhere else. So it's to recognize where the transportation industry is shifting, where it's changing, where it's moving, what it's becoming. And it's becoming everything that we've been talking about here tonight. This is where it's going. It's moving away from what it was, turning into all of this. Micro transportation, this is kind of more of like on the ground level. This is where like any entrepreneur who has like just a mindset and, sees a solution or business opportunity can pursue it. Let me pull it up here. First let me get my screen share up and going.
I really like how you put that, that, when there's a downtake in one place, there's an uptake, somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're applying that towards, of course, transportation. But I think that, that's yeah. That's just pretty much how, things work.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me see here. I'm going to do my screen share. Wait. Oh, wait, there it is. Yeah. All right. All right. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is Pacific Rides is a subsidiary company of the Phoenix Trade Group. That's a company that you guys know them as Anti-Gravity. We are in various industries. One is EV technology and logistics. That's what Pacific Rides is all about. And that's a company that we acquired when my boss retired and kind of handed over the shop. And we just kind of retooled it, man, and wanted to make it something that's going to be relevant with regards to transportation and future technologies. So that's kind of been what we've been doing in 2018, man, just kind of retooling the business. The other business we operate as Herbalife Nutrients, hemp-based, hemp CBD, cannabis, all that stuff. So that's what we got going on here. And one of the things we're rolling out is an open rideshare platform. So it's going to be similar to what Bird Scooters is, right? We're opening it up in a way, though, where individual entrepreneurs can own their own fleets. So it's kind of like we're sort of decentralizing it. We're not necessarily, it's our company that has scooters out everywhere, but more so we are operating as a software as a service and a hardware provider for individuals who want to have their own stuff out in whatever areas and locales that they are, to do whatever, if it's just like delivery services or whatever the case may be. So this is what it is that we are tossing our hat in the ring, if you will, for 2019, getting ourselves fully entrenched and involved in this micro transportation industry. So, and I'll put a link to the PowerPoint in the chat after I close this screen out, and then there's our contact info it's going to be on the final page on it, and then you can just reach out to us, and if you got any questions, any interest, anything. Now, how it works, it's just like any other QR based or app based QR reader type of system, where you basically would download an app. You encounter the electric bike, scooter, whatever it is out in the field, scan it with a QR code, you have your payment information in it, GPS unlocks the scooter, and then you take it and roll. So as a entrepreneur or a business owner, it would function the same way. You just have your vehicles out in the field, they're docked and locked, or they're not docked, but they're still locked, so they, no one can use them. And, your client unlocks it with their phone, takes it, and it charges them for it. So this is how the micro transportation platform works. It works through micro transportation, micro payment transactions. Everything's micro, everything's quick, everything's on the fly. And that's kind of like, again, this is the new look of how transportation is going to work. One other link that I did provide in the chat is, and this is to give you some insight as to what our thoughts are and where we're kind of, leaning and going with this. And, I had a long talk with Lionel yesterday, because we'll largely be leaning on a lot of his expertise for a lot of this stuff. And, he's going to be playing a critical role in this. But we do also have a blockchain-based application that backs this as well. And then there's crypto components to it also. So we're definitely like future forward in terms of like how we're taking, the approach that we're taking to this. The platform that we're using is called Arcade City. It's a ERC20 based blockchain. Hold on a second, cell phone. Blockchain based application, and I provided some info in the chat as well. So yeah, man, this is definitely some stuff where if there's some interest, again, please reach out, because this is the future. Again, GPS based global logistics platform. So it's all app based, all app and GPS based. On the back end, we do all fleet management, and we can do it in the United States, we do it globally. And it's all dockless technology. So again, doing contract work with some of the other companies that have their own scooters and out in GPS based dockless fleets that are out. Gosh. So yeah, it's all pretty much the same. What you're going to start to find is there's just going to be companies popping up left and right with their own solutions, and literally it's all just things that are benign but are GPS connected. So with these scooters right here, these are the Xiaomi M365s. They're GPS connected. There's a little brain in here that has a GPS dongle, and basically there is a cloud-based fleet management software system. That was what I just kind of gave you guys a screenshot of, that manages every single one of these things, right? And it has to be unlocked through the Bluetooth app. Goodness. Through the Bluetooth app, and from there, the brushless motor unlocks, and you just take it. And this can be applied to scooters, electric bikes, and even large-scale electric scooters. Same thing. Motors can be locked. And this is like just an idea of what you're going to see this type of stuff used for. You know, it'll just be, it's going to be, you have to think about things maybe 5 to 10 years into the future and like how benign all this stuff's going to be. So now is the time, because the technology is kind of right at our fingertips and the cost of the hardware really isn't that much. You know, you could look to Bird to put all the scooters out here. I'll tell you right now, there's all these other companies that lawsuits flying left and right, because Bird's business model is quite ingenious. They were just like, yeah, flood the streets and let them figure it out, you know. And so there's been so many business ideas to kind of spring off of what it is that they've done, that they've even just announced that they're opening up their platform so that you could buy your own fleet of Bird scooters, and they'll give you access to their software, much like how we do, and you can manage your fleet and all this type of stuff. So this is a very interesting time when we talk about business, when we talk about the markets, when we talk about all of the stuff that we talk about on the Brain Trust. You know, it's objective analysis. It's not gloom and doom. It's not selling you the golden lotto ticket. It's not any of that. It's objective analysis. You have to know where markets are turning down, where capital is flowing, what's going to be deployed in the future. So that lets you know what industries are on the upswing. So this is largely the Pacific Rideshare platform is largely an extension of, it's a business extension of a lot of the discussions that we've had with regards to fourth industrial-based technologies. It's an extension of that, and it's an exercise. It's us doing this, putting it in practice. You know, it's how it has to be leveraged and utilized. And with that, you know, that was what we wanted to just make note of for 2019, just to let you guys know that, you know, a lot of the discussions that are had on the Brain Trust, in you know, on live streams and in private, have led to a lot of you know, movements and getting involved in a lot of what it is that we discuss.
Yeah, I think that was dope. Yeah, I think that was pretty dope.
Thanks, Mike.
So do you have a no problem? Do you have like a quarter that you're aiming for? Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, 2019, 24?
That's Q1. No, Q1. Everything is pretty much all set in terms of the acquisition of the hardware, the software. You know, so the blockchain part of it, that's literally, like I said, that's a conversation that Lionel and I literally had yesterday. Given that the new version of the Arcade City software has been released for testing. So I've got it on my phone. I'm trying to arrange to get it for Lionel and a few others. You know, so it's all in motion.
I got a question for Lionel.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. What's your take on Arcade City and the integration on microtransportation?
Now that I've been learning more and more about microtransportation and going over the articles of how some Ford bought junk, the last mile, first mile, last mile situation, and we see that big players are getting to the microtransportation space, I obviously that is a flag in our case that we need to be in it more than we are in it now. Right now, with Ulysses' presentation, he's trying to get involved. Well, he is not trying to get involved in the microtransportation space with the scooters. Start with electrical scooters, then graduate into the EV space. As far as Arcade City, it's one of a few um, crypto projects that's allowing people to get into the micro transportation space. I like it. It's built on the Ethereum platform. It's an ERC20 token. And from what I've seen, they are really pushing to allow people to get into their own micro transportation, meaning they control their own fleet. I know they're in Austin, Texas, and they're doing their, like we mentioned how EVs are testing out in certain areas. That's what Arcade City is doing out, testing their platform out in Austin, Texas, and then spread from there.
It's all of this stuff, man, is like that's what I mean. Like we're literally at the precipice. Everyone is like testing. Some are just like further ahead in testing than others. Right. Everything, even with, like I said, even with some of the more quote unquote established platforms, you think, look, Bird is valued at $2 billion, but they don't have it all figured out yet. They're just going with it. They're just winging it right now. So that's kind of like the space that we're in. It's the space that we're in is really just like, it's the time to strike iron.
Now, do these? I got a question. Now, do these scooters, do they have the are they self-locking, like with the cable lock? Like, because I saw something about, I think we covered it on one of our hangouts before, that you had scooters that were being lost from an asset management perspective, and being left in certain areas. What happens when a user is finished with the scooter, or finished with their ride, and they need to put it down? Is there a way to lock it to furniture on the street?
Now there is actually there's two methods, right? So you can so one of the things that we also we import and distribute are GPS based like bike locks. So like kind of like the U-shaped, and it has a bezel and it just locks in. Okay, well, there's some that we have that have it's a solar powered magnetic locking mechanism, right? And it has a GPS dongle on it, so you need an app to unlock it, or you can punch in a sequence code to unlock it. But it's basically it's a digital lock, it's a battery powered lock, and so it's app based though, so you would need an app to use it. Now you could use that to lock it to something, and it would function in much the same way, where you need an app to unlock it. So the primary function is it's the app and the fleet software. You can connect it through GPS to any sort of locking device, whether it's the motor itself on the scooter or if it's some sort of external lock. Either way. So yeah, you can lock it with and basically on how the scooter locks is the motor. The motor just basically it gets there's a setting so that the magnets will resist if it's moved. And so the thing is, you can't, if you try to just scoot it, it's just not going to go anywhere. The motor is just going to basically repel any movement. So unlock it.
They do. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
People do kick. Start their way to get the scooter propelled for motion, right? Like even if they can't. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like you have to, like, if it's unlocked, right? So for example, if it's unlocked, you have to like start kicking on it. You got to move it first in order for it to go. But if it's locked, and what happens is that it's set to where if it moves, the magnets are going to repel each other. So the motor's not going to. It's basically the motor's just going to lock. It's magnets that are actually locking within the brushless motor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul Bryant in the chat had a question.
Okay.
Paul Bryant asks, if you use docking stations, will they be plugged into the electrical grid or solar powered like city bikes?
Well, I mean, so with the type of with those like small little kick scooters, the way those work is typically you're taking those off the streets and charging them overnight. Typically they're used during the day. You know, they've done a lot of like usage studies, and you don't really see you see like a far drop in scooter usage after like 9 p.m. So much so that typically it's not like economically viable to keep them out on the street past a certain point. So usually what you're doing is you're putting them on the streets at like between 4 to 5 a.m. and then taking them off the streets between 9 to 10 a.m. And then overnight you're charging them. Now you do have areas where you could dock them up and charge them, but that type of infrastructure isn't just made widespread because the scooters, there's so many of them that you couldn't possibly just have like a lot of like charging areas to just charge them all up. So that's usually how that type of stuff is done.
Interesting. Go ahead, Preem.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, with this we're talking. This is B2C. So now we're cooking with grease because I love this stuff. So I mean, I like this micro transportation scooter thing because it definitely checks off on the first two boxes. Being, is there value in it? Absolutely. Is there, does it solve or eliminate a certain pain or problem that's out there? Absolutely. So then the next series of questions is one of them kind of, I'm gonna segue into it with a statement that you made, which was you said companies popping up left and right with their own solutions. Mm-hmm. So my next series of 2 boxes is one, who's the competition? And I think, Bird obviously won, and, there's like, a couple more. There's going to be some competitors out there. So there's no kind of like barrier to entry for someone to come up with their own micro transportation solution to bring to the marketplace. Or if you have, if you have a service in a city, there's nothing that's going to stop someone else from coming out there and competing with you. So then my question is, what's the competitive advantage that someone would have over the over another competitor in the market?
Well, the competitive advantage is literally going to be fleet size. I'm gonna share my hold on. I'm gonna share my screen again just to kind of give you some insight as to what I'm talking about here, because it's kind of a clever angle to take, to be quite frank. But it's our business model, and I was kind of bummed, man, when I heard that they were doing this. But let me know if you guys can see this. Hold on. All right. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
So manage your own fleet of e-scooters with the power of the Bird platform. So same thing that we do, right? So you contact Bird, you say, hey, I want scooters because I want people to rent them so I can make money. And they go, okay, well, buy them from us. So you get the scooters, okay, and then they brand them how you want it, similar to what we would do, right? Then you get your customized website and app, just like what we do. Now, the only difference is that they have this marketplace, and what they're going to do is they're going to utilize people like myself who do the kind of work I do for them to, be like service providers for people who have their own fleet. So they would call me and I'd go out and fix their stuff or whatever. And so everything that I just showed you guys that we're doing, same thing. Hardware, they have the scooters, right? GPS based, anti-theft, basically, the locking device with the chirping alarm, all that kind of stuff, right? GovTech, which that means is you can set geo zones. So like you can drive, you can be doing 20 miles an hour in one zone, then you just, as soon as you cross the street, all of a sudden the scooter slows down to 10, right? So same thing with our software. Customized website, open map API, same thing with us, right? That's all the same stuff. This is where you're talking about where the competition is coming in. Now, the reason why is because Bird, they can only put out so many scooters, right? Like, so for example, in the city, they can only put out so many. They can put some out for you, which means that they get to put more out there. You know what I'm saying?
They can only put
yeah,
out.
right. I think. I think there's a municipal limit of like 700 to 1,000 per calendar year or something like that.
For Bird. I'm putting this in quotes.
Yeah, for Bird.
For them, not for me, you as and everybody else listening. So if you guys want some, come holler at us. We'll put them out there. Kind of like that, but
because if you franchise it, then what happens is it's limited per franchise. But if there's 10 different franchises, then you have a massive amount. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So
what's going on, Jack?
And Bert can only put out 700 total, irrespective of how many franchises they have as well.
Yeah.
Or do they still benefit from the same unlimited? You know, if they do a little work around the franchise rate, do they have?
Well, look, if they can put out they themselves can only put out 700, but let's just say there's 10 other people who put out 700, and they just do it for them. What's the difference?
Okay, yeah. I mean, all I was trying to figure out is, okay, how do I beat them? You know, what's my advantage over them? You know, over them and anybody else who, you know, can just pop right into the market.
You have to, I mean, essentially, you just.
I don't mean to cut you off, Ulysses, but those sort of intricate details, I think we should keep that stuff offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should keep that stuff offline. What's going on, Jack? You have any questions?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Lano.
Yeah, I could get to it, but this is a broad question about autonomous vehicles. I know that people say, well, autonomous vehicles, you need more information input for the autonomous vehicle to learn how to drive first with humans and to learn all the nuances of that's forth. But at the same time,
No, I was just saying data driven.
Yes, data driven. But at the same time, these businesses like Waymo and so forth are only using certain parts of the nation to test their vehicles out. And we know that different parts of the country, Florida drive differently from Chicago, East Coast drive differently from West Coast. How about they were to hire people to put some type of machinery on their cars and the data record that person driving and the people around that vehicle and record that information and input it into their systems?
So they already do that. When you use Waze, when you use Google Maps or Bing Maps, that data gets collected, right? It goes into a lake, and after it goes into a lake, a data lake, it gets pulled right back out and it gets reconsolidated. So they have the numbers and the statistics for driving habits and what the rate of traffic is at this time, at this location, at this GPS location, and so on and so forth. On this road, at this time of the year and things like that. They collect all that information and then put it into their database. They have an API that they pull data from.
I mean, man, look, I was gonna say those Uber drivers, they did all the work. Even all going into detours, doing shortcuts, all of that information was collected, all of it.
They've been doing that for years, right? So you're talking 5, 6, 7 years they've been collecting data.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to see something similar with micro transportation, right? How are people with these scooters behaving with them? How fast are they driving? In which area it is? At what time of the year it is? What time of the day? What month? What season? Was it raining that day? Was it sunny that day? All of that data gets collected.
Well, I'm saying, man, that's why they have you can do geofencing and geozoning, right? Where a scooter's going a speed, and then as soon as if I set a boundary point from here to here, and I say, okay, look, slow this thing down. So GPS reads the speed, and then it says, okay, as soon as it crosses into the zone, this thing can only do this speed. And I set the parameters of that zone, and then that vehicle is only going to do that speed through that zone, and then after it leaves it, it goes back up to whatever it was set at.
And that's a part of some of the regulation that wants to be put in place for geofencing and which roads are they limited to, and what color the vehicle has to be, and whether or not the vehicle has to make some kind of noise because it may be an EV, so you can't hear it coming.
Can't hear it. Yeah.
Pedestrian.
Yep.
Yeah. There's all types of things that are involved, because even the traffic lights now, for crosswalks, they actually talk to you now. So they tell you when to cross, when to walk, don't walk, how much time it's going to take. You have 10 seconds, you have 20 seconds, things of that nature. So we see some pieces of infrastructure actually being put in place that's going to affect the later deployment of autonomous vehicles.
Yep. Do anyone else have any thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, Scholar Chang, Preem, Christian.
I'm gonna wait until we're off the air.
All right. Let me see if there's anything in the chat.
Okay.
Let me see if Man of Tomorrow is still here. Yeah, MOT, if you're still on, feel free to jump on and hang out after we sign off.
Yeah, you got the link.
Bryant. Yeah, I think he's on. I think he's on email. So. I think I had one more article. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I just want to share this real quick. I think I put it in the chat already, but I'll share my screen anyways for those who may want to see this on the replay. So the Voro Motors scooter that we were discussing earlier actually has a newer model, which has a range of 62 miles, up in the 50 miles that was stated before.
62, jeez.
Yeah, that's significant, when you're talking about these type of scooters. And it has all the DOT assemblies on it, right? All your front and rear lights.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I'll try to say something earlier, but I think I was muted. You guys mentioned about the data collection aspect. Here's the thing though, Mr. Ulysses, how are you gonna convince people? How do you convince all those privacy? I won't say privacy fanatics, but those individuals who are very concerned about the privacy aspect of how the user database, user private information sharing. Do you think you can how are you going to navigate the legality aspect of it?
It depends on depends on what you're fielding. I guess I don't think I have too much of a problem answering this question. Depends on what you're fielding, right? So, and I'll just say this: part of our model is, well, the backbone of our own personal fleet model has to do with a private fleet network, right? So it's membership based, so it's not like for the public, right? So as a member, then there's a membership agreement that that you would be agreeing to in order to have access to the fleet, which is different from just somebody, just random Joe, just using it. So, and there's ways to kind of situate how you're going to operate your fleets or what you're doing out there, and that'll largely determine how you would go about mitigating certain situations or having to, position yourself to deal with certain things.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, because the reason I ask because that's why you're seeing all these tech companies that that utilize that capitalize on the user data information sharing. That's why I got into all these troubles because the fact apparently this whole privacy aspect is. Just, but I mean, of course, to be honest with you, though, I don't think average Joe, average Blow Joe, really give a damn about having their quote unquote privacy. They just want to get on the scooter and ride. So I think I'm just saying more on the legal aspect, because sometimes these people treat the small business like I just think how they always favor the big business. So
well, I was going to say though, when I was just going to say, but we also have to realize too that there has to be some level of data collection that has to be done in the event that there was an accident, right? Like, what if somebody was to like unlock my scooter, take it somewhere, right? But they try to invoke some sort of shit with me and says like, hey, you can't track where I'm going, and then I go, oh, okay, right? And so I don't know where the hell this guy goes, right? And then let's just say, he slams into a damn semi. Like, I have no record, I have no information, no data, I have no nothing. How do I know that the scooter malfunctioned? How do I know anything? I got to collect some data. So there has to be something, and there has to be something where the user is going to have to agree to some level of data collection for the sole sake of liability purposes, dude. Like, I got to know something in the event that something happens.
So it's not the user that data that you're collecting. You're actually collecting device data.
Ride data, yeah.
It's device data, ride data. So for the most part, what you have is an ongoing black box on the scooter itself. The user is not actually
where I'm going.
Well, right. The device knows where it's going, but the user isn't submitting that information. So the information is anonymous to Pacific Rides or whoever the franchise is going to be.
Right.
So X user participated in this ride share and went this distance, but you don't know who X user is because that data, that PII, that personally identifiable information, has been masked and separate from data collection.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense. I was wondering because, like I say, the sometimes all these whenever it comes to any this type of collection of data information, legal disclosure aspect involved.
Just to tell you, I don't want to pull up the software.
We can talk about offline here.
I was just going to say though that basically, if I pull up a vehicle in my fleet, I'll see the vehicle, not who.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So,
I've got different. Oh, I'm sorry, Connor. Go ahead.
Get some feedback.
Bauer Chang, please mute yourself.
I've got a different set of questions. As far as the servicing of these vehicles, when they need repairs, when they break down, when they just need maintenance, who is going to be doing it for Pacific Rides? And just out of curiosity, who currently does it for the ride, the bird people?
So that's like people like me. I'm a contract mechanic for them. So on the app, basically, if there's vehicles that are in distress, marked as damaged, anything like that, it'll pop up on a map. For me, I'll see it on a map, and then what I can do is do through GPS. It's basically sending a signal saying, "Hey, I'm here. Come fix me." So I can pull it up and then hit locate scooter, and then it'll pull up Google Maps and it'll give me directions to go and find it. When I get over into the area, if I don't see it, I trigger the alarm to hear it, to see where it's at. All right.
And for these scooters, are they typically, when they're contracted out for someone to go ahead and do the maintenance or repair on them?
Mm-hmm.
Is it someone who kind of works on something that has a similar technology? Because the engine, in, like, you know how the engine in a lawnmower, it's semi-similar to, you know, someone who works on a lawnmower engine can pretty much work on a small motorcycle engine. So
yeah,
are you thinking contracted out to people that are just, you know, engine work, or is it like a specific subset of that specializes in this, that you know folks who technicians are actually maintaining?
I'm one of those rare people that actually has like experience in it, because when I had the physical shop, I still do warranty work for Razer. So I've been doing warranty work for Razer for a few years, and so that was how I actually got contacted to do some work for them. So I was already familiar with how these things are wired up and how they work. It's all basic. It's basic motor, controller, battery. It's all basic. You know, these things aren't really like super like sophisticated or nothing like that. What they can do, what they have the capabilities to do, is sophisticated. But at the end of the day, it's an electric scooter.
So then I asked that series of questions to go ahead and get to this. So then, with the knowledge that this is where things are going, there's going to be multiple players coming in. In multiple different ways. I know this is not what we're talking about, but what's the opportunity to be a service, you know, to have a servicing operation, to be a one-to-many type of operation. So you're in different.
You ask the right questions.
Servicing this person, servicing that brand, servicing that brand. You know. Yeah,
no, those are the right questions, and you know, with that, like, you know, so that's just to support all of that. You know, one, we're a hardware supplier. You know, so that means all the parts, the scooters, the software, like everything we basically have it, right? So in addition to that, what I would be doing is I would be doing training videos to do like repair work, how it's done, to train like repair, like fleet repair coordinators and stuff like that. It's all basic stuff. You know, but it's like I break down all the you know, how to repair all the electronics on it, how to do this, how to do that. It's not like super sophisticated stuff, but it's substantial.
I'm sure I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it from several angles, because, and again, I hope I'm not distracting from it.
No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
But because one, it's very lean. I mean, you're lean. You don't have, there's, no overhead.
Exactly.
You're kind of deferring all the heavy lifting out to the folks that actually put the things on, but you're better.
And you're doing, dude. It's all job creation and all that shit, right? Which is a discussion maybe we'll have when we start going, we go offline. But now you're starting to see where, again, when you look at the downturn in GM and traditional automotive, and the upturn in the other, where the industry is burgeoning, where it's growing, and what it's becoming, and so I'm kind of we're tapping into the insights into where it can go.
Yeah, I mean, I love that opportunity aspect of it, because the guy who may not be getting as many, who may be working on motorcycles or cars or whatever, he has some base fundamental understanding of how these things work. And he can just go ahead and switch gears and jump into this new market. So when someone says, "Oh, doom and gloom," to your point, what you said earlier, when there's a downtick in one place, there's an uptick in another. So if there's a downtick in GM, they're doing this or whatever, and it has a kind of like a domino effect on the people that actually maintain the vehicles. Well, that guy can look at this new micro transportation industry and be like, "Shit, I'm just going to service all these guys."
Dude, look, let me give you perfect example of this, right? So just in work, because this information's out there, right? I would get paid anywhere and upwards from $15 to $20 a scooter to fix, right? Now, if I knock out, if I'm doing like, 3 to 4 an hour, dude, I'm making like, what am I making? 60, 80 bucks an hour? Right. And I'm saying, dude, they're a scooter. It doesn't, like, once you learn how to fix the stuff, it is what it is, right? So you just, I'm trying to kind of just paint a picture here, man. That's all I'm trying to do.
This is the early stages of what's to come in the next 10 years. We read an article earlier about Boston, right? So they're saying by 2040 they're getting rid of all gas and diesel-based vehicles. Everything will be electric.
Everything will be
so
electric.
You want to get a head start. They're taking all the gas vehicles off the road. They're doing it now. I mean, a lot of these guys who have these big, Yukons and Suburbans with these big straight pipes on there, they're getting rid of those.
But Mike, can you imagine how many of these scooters I could fit in the back of my F-150?
Dude, I literally I know a dude who piled like about 80 in the back of it.
I can fit in my, so there will always be a need for F-150, but I can't put them in the back of.
I'm not saying that there won't be a need for that. What I'm saying is we're moving into a major paradigm shift. Because by 2040, by December 31st, 2040, you're talking, 20 years from now, 18 years from now, there's going to be a need to get rid of these vehicles. We see that GM and Ford both said the same thing. Millennials are not buying new cars anymore.
It's the reason why Harley is having a problem right now. That's why they're going electric, because millennials ain't buying Harleys.
Yeah, Harley can't move bikes. They're bigger. They have a bigger market in Europe than they do in America now for in terms of like the age demographic. And if you go to like places like New York, your major urban metropolis, Boston, even Providence, you're seeing a lot of people just riding these these sort of scooters and these bike shares as well. So you got to be able to corner that market now before it gets too big.
Again, I don't want to get too far. I think the whole Harley versus the small the Nissan Leaf type of thing, I think that's more of a culture thing. I mean, you just fall back and look at a Harley driver, he looks nothing like the type of guy that's going to drive one. I mean, they don't look the same. They aren't the same type. They could be both female, but they're just not the same type of person, human being. Or,
no, we're not saying that they're the same person. We're saying that they can't sell these vehicles anymore. These vehicles are sitting on lots. And what the shareholders are saying is pump more vehicles out. And the dealerships are saying we're overloaded with capacity, and we can't move them because we can't get enough millennials
no new buyers
who have a decent enough credit score to actually buy them. So now you hear Ford's investing into Lyft and Uber, and Microsoft is investing, because now it's going from buying cars to car sharing. You see, BMW has a new car sharing program. Audi has Silverline. Cadillac has a new car sharing program. Mercedes has one coming out. Ford is working on this. You can't sell vehicles anymore. You have to either do a car sharing program, or those who can't afford to have, for whatever reason they can't get into a car sharing program, they're going to move to micro transportation.
Or or in the future, if you're gonna be buying a car, your car is gonna take you to work, drop you off, and then it's gonna go and do work for you so that you make money on it.
So when you take that out to its logical conclusion, 20, 30, 40 years from now, internal combustion operated cars will no longer be that 800-pound gorilla in the room. The future is electric vehicles. Okay, so companies like Harley, GM, BMW, Audi, Toyota, Nissan, they've sat down and they've thought about this. It may be 50 years from now, but internal combustion cars are not the future. They will not be anywhere near as to what they are now. So for the near term, they want to move into ride sharing, and they absolutely want to be, as much as they can, on the leading edge of micro transportation and electric vehicles so that they are well positioned. So 30 to 40 years from now, when the vast majority of the market is now electric vehicles, we still have those names like BMW, GM, Cadillac, Ford, but instead of a 5.7 or a 6.3 liter AMG, we're talking X amount of milliwatt hours motor.
Right, right, and it's a part of this Paris. It's a part of this Paris climate agreement that the United States under Trump, the Trump administration, did not want to sign. Right, so now I think the whole entire African continent has pretty much signed up for this. That by 2045, what I saw from the AU is that they plan on not importing any more gas and diesel vehicles.
The UK
Paris,
said by 2030 they're out.
Yeah, Paris under Macron, which is why you're seeing these yellow vest protests, is that they're saying by 2022, diesel vehicles can't be on the road. 80% of France uses diesel vehicles. That's why they're protesting.
You know, and again, I mean, I'm totally, you know, I definitely see that happen if it's, you know, if it's a better option, you know, not a better, you know, the holistic, you know, esoteric kumbaya option, but you know, like the other brother said, I mean, if you all things being the same, if I get a much better driving experience, you know, from a vehicle, because that's all the end user is going to go ahead and care about, unless you mandate it.
No, well, that's this is what we're talking.
Don't give them a choice, but you know, someone on a Harley, if they can ride and get a much better experience, and that thing is it could be powered by ant piss. You know, it doesn't matter. As if it's a better experience, you know, damn the gas. I just want the better experience and a better thrill and a better ride.
But see, that's the thing. We are talking mandate. And that was the reason why earlier when we were talking, remember we were talking Porsche and Tesla, we were saying that Porsche kind of laughed. They were like, okay, well, shit, electric or not, we're Porsche, right? So again, to kind of speak to the experience part, right? However, it's mandate. That's why Porsche is going in and saying, okay, now we're going to put the Taycan out there. So it's both. It's both, and this is ultimately what it is that we have to recognize, that the paradigm shift is upon us. It is in full swing.
When we say mandate, is mandate how?
Mandate towards clean energy, towards renewable forms of energy. Just over 1 week ago, the government of Germany closed their last coal mine in the country. The actual German government made a statement saying that their push forward is for renewables and clean sources of energy. As a nation state, Germany is moving away from fossil fuels on every and all levels, which is why they closed their very last coal mine in the country. So again, Germany is the EU, all right? They are the economic power behind the EU. So anything that they say, every nation slowly or begrudgingly, they have to get behind. And Germany, they see the future. The EU, it's electric vehicles and renewables and clean sources of energy. So there's your mandate right there.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to add something real quick. I kind of share the sentiment with Preem, the fact that when it comes to government mandate, I just have this entrenched, this taste for it, because I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know how government operate things, like, for example, DMV, for example, veteran hospital, for example, and all this other stuff. So I don't know if government mandate will always going to solve problem. You mentioned about, like, for example, you guys mentioned about Germany. Okay, but that's in Europe, though. You have to understand, in Europe, the government largely, at least compared to the United States, a lot more responsive to the needs of the people, the constituents, as opposed to in America, where the government are pretty much completely oblivious to people's needs. So unless you have the cultural, unless you have the civil culture, behind that, that will allow for the existence of a top-down approach, I don't know if another government mandate is going to solve any problem. If anything, it's adding on to another problem. So I would say that before we discuss the establishment of mandate for this kind of for renewal. I trust me. I completely agree with it in terms of renewal, energy, all this other stuff. But I just think we need to really take the federal government out of this. In fact, we need to take the state government out of this and just focus on the local municipality. Perhaps they will be a little bit more responsive to the constituents than the federal and the state and so forth. That's all. That's all.
I mean, I think it's kind of a mixed bag, right? Because I do agree on the municipal level. Because see, if you start on the municipal level, so you start small and build outward, right? Things can happen a lot faster. So that would be the thought or the idea. But there does have to be some sort of mandate, right? On a national, on a federal level. There does have to be something that does kind of unify something on a base level to kind of tie that municipal web that starts to grow out and becomes a national network, right? There has to be something to undergird it.
Well, Plex, I mean, isn't that putting the chicken in front of the egg? Why go ahead and do it on the state or the federal level if you don't even know if it's going to work on the municipal level first? Test it out, see if it works, and then if it's just a matter of just signing a piece of paper, then you go ahead and do that then.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that there has to be something on a federal or national level that sort of recognizes the objectives of the municipalities to do this. There has to be something.
There has to be,
because your highways, are interconnected.
Thank you.
Okay. Well.
And so is the grid. So is your energy grid.
Yeah. So I mean, just go ahead, just try it on a small little controlled environment. See if you can get enough people to go ahead and buy in. But then if you do it on the state and the federal level, you're getting people to buy in and to pitch in who aren't even part of that small little municipal.
Look, your taxes, all of your tax, not all of your tax dollars goes to things that you voted for. Okay, it's shared responsibility here.
Okay,
Can I throw a grenade into a conversation that will take completely sideways? Can I throw a grenade into this conversation?
Absolutely, you go right ahead.
Sideways. When we talk about deep states, what are the two most powerful parts of that? The military-industrial complex and the oil and gas companies. Who leads the search for new sources of energy? The oil and gas industry, because by controlling that which will literally put them out of business, they suppress it. So there are other viable forms of clean energy. However, they cannot be readily monetized. So that's why we don't have them. So until they can be monetized, we will be stuck with fossil fuels. So that throws this entire point about mandates at any level completely sideways.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm a firm believer that you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I like the way that you guys put it earlier. You go ahead and start small and build out. I mean, even now, when you look at certain states, you have certain states where they try things, they try programs, and they fund those programs through taxes, and it gets to the point to where people are just like, damn this shit, we're getting the hell out of here, we're moving elsewhere. Then you have other states to where they're like, listen, we may not have all this cool stuff, but you get to keep more of your bread, and you have to pay into this and pay into that, and they have people go ahead and move it in. So test it like that, as opposed to saying, okay, we're just gonna, everybody everywhere, this is the new law of the land. Test it out, see how the market responds. If we're all, clean, some of us are capitalists here, let the market decide and choose. And if it works out, it will go ahead and work out. The market will go ahead and let you know.
They've done enough. They've done enough testing. I believe Waymo itself has done 25,000 miles, and do you tack on Lyft and Uber, who've added miles as well? You're talking something close to 100,000 miles already has been done the last couple of years. And in that testing, I think they gotten mostly positive feedback, and they've only had 2 deaths. And it wasn't even due to the vehicles itself; it's more of human error.
Testing of the tech, right?
Yes, they've been allocated to space, and they've complied with 99% of the compliance thing of the municipality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm not talking about the testing of the technology as far as the miles, if it works, if the vehicles can drive far, do this, do that. I'm saying if this thing is going to be self-sustaining, okay, if it's going to be a self-sustaining, test the whole ecosystem before you go from the top down. Start small, do a micro ecosystem and see if it can be self-sustaining in and of itself and of its own. If people are just going to flock to it, like, yeah, I want to move here because they got this going. Yeah, I'm willing to help and pay and support it and see if it's going to be self-sustaining on this thing right here, especially if you don't have everybody buying into it.
But it's not taxpayers actually paying for this. It's actually the private companies, the private industries paying for it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got confused because earlier someone was talking about something like state, federal. So I'll just assume when you talk about state, federal, I don't see how private companies, I know there's they can do a little partnership, but when someone's talking about, on the state level, on the federal level, but God forbid, when they're talking about on the EU level, I don't see how private companies or free markets have anything to go ahead and do with that. It's a mandate.
No, I think we were talking about clean energy mandate. So I think that's what we were referring to.
As it relates to these vehicles being a must and being they have to have
a clean energy mandate. A clean energy mandate is largely going to be all inclusatory. So it's going to encompass anything that would benefit from the production of clean energy. So there's not going to be any separation in it. That's why I said it would really have to just be like a base level mandate that acknowledges any companies or anyone who is trying to pursue anything in the realm of green energy. There's a mandate, right? Yeah. That's really all it has to be. Like I said, then you go on down to the municipal level, and then you let cities figure out the solutions that are going to be of best benefit to those cities, and you scale it out from there.
But then, and I'm gonna go and wrap it up because I know you guys want to move it on. But even before you get that far, I still got to go ahead and pull you back to your initial premise of the foundation of your theory or your premise, which is the science. There's still there are still counter arguments to the science and the legitimacy.
Oh no,
itself, and we're not here to have that discussion. I'm not the person to have that discussion. But what I do know is that that's still up for debate. And while it is still up for debate, is it really fair to go and be like, okay, we're just going to bring the people on our side and put in a position to go ahead and make this law, even though there is a counter argument, to that, and it hasn't proven itself out. It's still debatable.
Oh, no. All you gotta do is look at. You gotta look at you gotta look at the effectiveness and the efficiency of Tesla's power collection stations that they use to power cities. Mm-hmm. Right, the level of efficiency, right, that they're operating at, mm-hmm. versus output. These numbers are there. It's readily available. And the science and the technology already. It's all based on the fact that it's more efficient and it's more efficient in its collection and in its usage and in terms of its output. There's very little energy output to collect and store energy. It doesn't require a lot.
And Flex, what will happen is people are going to see Tesla with the bags and be like, you know what, this shit is worth looking into. They're making good margins, good profit on it. We need to go ahead and get in that game too as well. So Tesla will, if they aren't. I don't know too much about it, but if they're proving out that this thing is much better, it's cleaner, and it's profitable, and you're gonna make a bag on it, then other companies will go ahead and follow.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is why we were saying earlier, man. Look, Porsche just said, look, we can play this game too. So I mean, like I said, you got to take the signs as they are, and I'm taking them from the fact that you have other large companies, right, that are worth billions of dollars that are entering into the space. I mean, what more of a signal do you need?
I love it, and again, I love the way they're doing it because they're going the free market way. They're going the free market way. They're doing it, through they're funding it themselves. They're rolling the dice, and they are doing it, which is fine. I don't have anything against it. I'm just saying, if it works, the market is going to go and determine that people are going to jump on the opportunity. Multi-billion-dollar companies are going to be like, this is a thing. We need to get in it. let's go ahead and create a fleet of EV vehicles, you know, in our product line, because there is a need in the market for it, and it's profitable.
All right. All right. I think we'll close out for now. Thank you all for joining us, and this has been a very interesting Black Tech Talk. So we will see you on Monday for Space and Technology.
All right, y'all. Peace.